The devastation of her lips was all the more burning. Zhao Yan was sucked powerfully, and her arms struggled to push away Su Xing. However, just how could her strength struggle free, and the odd feeling of her red lips being sucked was completely different from when Dong Junqing kissed her. That kind of breath full of masculinity completely crammed into her soul, making Zhao Hanyan's body somewhat limp. An electric current gushed through her, about to choke her into immobility. Suddenly, her supple butt was attacked. Princess Ling Yan pushed Su Xing away with both hands, shouting with her eyes wide open, You pervert, unexpectedly daring to disrespect this princess. What disrespect? We're intertwined, isn't this a matter of course? Su Xing chuckled. You had best die for this princess 1,000 times, you had best, who? Before Zhao Hanyan could finish saying her next sentence, Su Xing again embraced her, tyrannically seizing her delicate lips. The pitiful Ling Yan princess had no way of exerting strength against Su Xing. She was just like a lamb. Su Xing also was quite familiar with deep kisses, easily hooking onto Zhao Hanyan's feelings. In no more than an instant, the Ling Yan princess could not help but then well up with a fantastic feeling through her whole body that extended to her flower, and she subconsciously kissed back. Just as Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan were putting on a display of intimacy, on the other side, Yan Yizhen's and Dong Junqing's intimacy was like wildfire. Hey! A cold shout rose, and a warm laugh continuously sounded. Little sister, there is no need to follow that frivolous man, elder sister can make little sister satisfied. Dong Junqing made a frivolous grin. She raised her double spears, imbuing star energy into them without the slightest hesitation. The dragon and phoenix cried, and 2 bolts of spear light were launched brilliantly. Yan Yizhen's fists blocked, spreading open an incorporeal defense. Even though Yan Yizhen defended with all her strength, still, her footsteps unavoidably manifested being forced back. Dong Junqing's wrist sunk, and the power of the dragon and phoenix yin-yang double spears was even greater. The double spears endlessly swept, the 2 spear lights of yin and yang like enormous chunks, aggressively wreaking havoc. The air at the sides let out a mournful wail of being torn to shreds. Although Su Xing had already said that using a heaven, earth, dark, or yellow technique would count as defeat, why would Dong Junqing listen to his request? How would a battle between star generals have any slack? Even if she actually meticulously suppressed her techniques, the star energy these double spears exerted was not necessarily any bit inferior to yin-yang cross-slash. 2 flames of berserk yin and yang tyrannically slammed into Yan Yizhen's upraised defenses. The steadfast star Dong Junqing was worthy of being labeled Maiden Mountain's 5 Tiger Generals' top-notch martial general, for her power was indeed fearsome and domineering. Each strike made Yan Yizhen feel a sort of heavy pressure. Her body could not help but continuously slide backwards along the lake surface. Bang! The successive strike of the yin-yang double flames already was close to completely surrounding Yan Yizhen, swallowing her. Yan Yizhen's expression was still indifferent as before. Her legs abruptly exerted strength, and a violent power like a tsunami instantly extinguished the blaze. She bluntly launched a fatal attack. The skillful star rushed through Dong Junqing's spear encirclement, her figure appearing before her instantly already like a flash of lightning. Hehehe. Dong Junqing laughed softly. Her double spears shook, and a clump of surging flame and a clump of cold light erupted from her spears. Her attack was far from over. Yan Yizhen's line of sight immediately was covered by the spears. Dong Junqing was at 10,000 Techniques' 9th stage. Her figure seemingly twinkled, and she promptly attacked before the maid, basically not giving Yan Yizhen the chance to evade. The double spear's attack range was very wide. The entire space had seemingly been covered, giving Yan Yizhen no place to hide. The flames quickly spread. Yan Yizhen was not to be outdone. The lights from her fists similarly blossomed with the 2 shades of yin and yang, their imposing air overflowing the heavens and gushing forth. The maid's fists gracefully danced, and a vigorous power was immediately unleashed. Boom! The yin-yang lake's surface suddenly shook with a spectacular sight. In the range of 1,000 meters, the lights of yin and yang spread unbounded, as if they were blossoming flower buds, blossoming layer upon layer, opening with breathtaking petals. Interesting. Dong Junqing smiled. Yan Yizhen's eyes burned with an ice-cold flame. This was an expression she would possess only at her most powerful state. This was an ice-cold brimming with might, the heavy fist directly breaking open all of Dong Junqing's imposing air and booming into her face. Dong Junqing's mocking smile showed a grave expression, and she promptly gripped tight her double spears. Come again. The steadfast star laughed aloud. In a spurt of energy, she suddenly rushed forth, rapidly brandishing the double spears. In the air, she carved out several dazzling arcs. Yan Yizhen instantly used her hands as a shield, using the star energy of her fists block the slashes of the long spear. Although her hands had been jolted numb by Dong Junqing's attacks, the person herself completely did not care. The instant the Yin-Yang Pisces fists and Dragon and Phoenix Yin-Yang spear made contact, Yan Yizhen seized the chance to hook upwards with her other fist, even more glittering than a lightning strike. The speed was like a white blur flitting by, transient. Afterimages propagated without limit. Dong Junqing's double spears adopted a defensive stance that blocked these heavy punches. Then, the two weapons suddenly shook, seemingly like a dragon and phoenix crying. A terrifying power quickly bit out from the weapon's tip. Dong Junqing basically did not expect Yan Yizhen's fist to still carry a strange power during the time of attack. The dragon and phoenix Yin-Yang spear shook and shuddered. A powerful impulse once again forced the two apart to a safe distance. Dong Junqing shook her spears, offloading the power that made the double spears ring. Somewhat in shock, she stared at this little sister that was at the limit of the heavenly stars. Although she knew Yan Yizhen was top-notch in boxing, she did not expect to be able to still reach this stage. You truly are able to make elder sister increasingly moved. Dong Junqing licked her lips. Following that man actually is a pity. Yan Yizhen pursed tight her lips, cold and detached. Her 10 fingers stretched, for this was not at all easy to endure. Dong Junqing after all was Liangshan's 5 Tigers generals, and her realm was 10,000 techniques 9th stage. Double spears against double fists, Yan Yizhen first of all was at a disadvantage. To think of prevailing honestly was somewhat difficult. Dong Junqing took in a deep breath, and she was just about to once again attack. Just at this moment, she suddenly heard a suppressed moan. Although the sound nearly inaudible, the battle between them completely stopped. The air was silent enough to hear a pin drop. Dong Junqing turned her head around, stunned. Immediately, she seethed in anger. On the beach, the adulterous couple of Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan were currently tightly deep kissing. The Ling Yan princess body was being embraced, her 10 white fingers gripping Su Xing's clothes, showing her innermost confusion and oddity, but the movements of this kiss were nevertheless a bit explicit. Dong Junqing could clearly see Su Xing's hands. They unexpectedly were kneading Zhao Hanyan's butt. Accept death. Dong Junqing was suddenly furious, turning around to rush toward Su Xing. Zhao Hanyan let loose a pained moan, turning limp inside Su Xing's embrace. Originally, she and Dong Junqing had contracted into one. If Dong Junqing wanted to attack Su Xing, the intertwined branch swords, that intertwined abnormality, would similarly make the Ling Yan princess suffer the recoil. How could the infuriated Dong Junqing care that much? Her double spears slashed, the dragon and phoenix crying. One yin and one yang interwove as Dong Junqing's figure flashed, practically reaching Su Xing's front. Afterwards, without holding back in the least bit, the dragon and phoenix yin-yang spears' imposing air was fierce, and the double spears swept over. Su Xing apparently had been long waiting for this moment. He raised a hand, and the 12 Langya flew out to obstruct Dong Junqing. She made a footstep forward, and in the next second, Dong Junqing's attack was even more berserk. The light that the dragon and phoenix spears shook out interwove, the spearlights dragging a brilliant trajectory, breaking apart the air on the verge of freezing. And under that tempo of frequently changing attacks, because of the powerful collisions, the spears raised wind, enveloping the two's figures within. Flitting past the cold spear light, Su Xing could clearly see the steadfast star's 2 murderous pupils. There was a kind of peculiar illusion. Dong Juanqing's seemingly intimidating and fierce attack also seemed to be waver indeterminately. The path of attack for Dong Juanqing's pair of short spears was extremely swift. It was unable to be seized with the naked eye. Langya spun around Dong Juanqing's surroundings to trap her. Upon seeing that, Dong Juanqing raised her short spears. Each time she struck, she apparently could hit from any angle, her speed quick to the limit. The dragon and phoenix on the double spears whistled forth as if they had substance, whirling around her surroundings to break apart every attack. The mighty Langya had been struck into having no leeway at all. Su Xing formed a hand seal, and 12 golden swords simultaneously whooshed out. The flying swords did not have killing intent, yet they had quite the powerful defense. The golden and green lights overlapped like a giant cage. The golden lights cried, the green lights roared, crisscrossing. A golden light was on the brink of drowning Dong Juanqing. Astonishingly, this was the essence metal divine wood array. 2. If it was any other cultivator, had they fallen in, they definitely would die. So amazing! Su Xing was slightly astonished. Dong Juanqing unexpectedly relied on her own self and was able to block. The pressure transmitted through the flying swords made Su Xing's heart tremble. He hardly hesitated to retreat backwards. Just at this moment, the sword array scattered like the petals the goddesses threw. The 24 immemorial 5 elements swords were defeated. Dong Juanqing instantly attacked, the 2 spears just happening to sweep by the place Su Xing stood. The dragon and phoenix in her hand flipped and rolled, making it difficult for people to approach. Astonishingly, this was the steadfast star general of Double Spear's dark rank special move. Top 1 inverted phoenix. Excessive. Su Xing's teeth hurt. This 5 Tigers General's dark rank move honestly was fucking terrifying. He had some understanding originally when the little Marquis of Wen Lu Fang once said those seemingly venting words. No wonder the Aid star was this hateful. The distance between a heavenly star and earthly star was too great. Both had dark rank techniques, but the steadfast star was probably able to beat back a supercluster cultivator. Su Xing did not stand a chance. Dong Juanqing panted. Her foot kicked, and she once again rushed forward. Su Xing chuckled. Yan Yizhen flashed to Su Xing's front, adopting a battle stance as easily as lifting weights. Evidently, she was preparing to use her own dark rank boxing. Just at this moment, the Zhao Hanyan that returned to her senses shouted, "Stop!" Having been ordered by her contractor, Dong Juanqing could not help but stop. Her intimidating aura immediately vanished. She somewhat slowly looked at Zhao Hanyan, her expression brimming with displeasure that the Ling Yan princess would stop her from killing this shameless pervert. "Princess Highness, this man is too hateful." It was unclear whether the hateful Dong Juanqing spoke of referred to Su Xing's being frivolous with a sister or with Zhao Hanyan. Zhao Hanyan also recovered her calm, and she shook her head saying, "Juanqing, forget about it. Dong Juanqing, this time you lost." Su Xing softly said. The provision was that whoever used their heaven, earth, dark or yellow rank move first would lose. Just now, Dong Juanqing clearly was the first to use one. "This general lost, what nonsense do you speak of?" Dong Juanqing disdainfully said. "Juanqing, you used your heaven earth dark yellow first. We indeed lost." Zhao Hanyan twitched her lips. "Princess, Juanqing, this time, you were too rash. In the future, do not do things like this. This princess herself will look after herself." The Ling Yan princess smile was very tender. "Su Xing, many thanks for the lesson you gave." Seeing the Ling Yan princess speak like this, Su Xing actually was somewhat embarrassed. Zhao Hanyan then said, "Fine then, those yin yang carps will be given to you." This princess did not truly have much interest. "Then many thanks for your help." Su Xing nodded. He knew if Yan Yizhen truly fought with Dong Juanqing, then certainly he would be at a disadvantage. Thus, would he talk about using a heaven-earth dark yellow first? Thus would he deliberately provoke Dong Juanqing into using this technique. However, this princess actually wishes to see how you will take the yin-yang carps. Zhao Hanyan mysteriously smiled. Su Xing's brows rose. The sun set, and evening tinged the earth. The fallen speech of smelted gold, the evening clouds matched harmoniously. Gleaming reflections suddenly appeared on the lake's surface. A golden flame seemed to burn. Looking over from the center of the island, half of the lake water that parted became a gold color. Upon first glance, it seemed their whole body had been enveloped in warmth. At this moment, the cold moon ascended. The ice-cold moonlight poured down, sprinkling onto the other half of the lake water. That portion of lake water was piled up with blue light, emitting wisps of chilly air, becoming a completely blue deep cold. Two types of odd figures slowly appeared, just like a water and ink painting being slowly sketched, displaying a hard-to-imagine scene. Everyone was amazed. When night completely enshrouded Evil Smiting Hall, an inconceivable scene appeared before Su Xing's eyes. The originally ordinary and mediocre lake then became a perfect yin-yang diagram. "So this is Yin-Yang Lake, amazing!" Su Xing exclaimed. His gaze looked, and at this time, two clumps of dazzling light appeared in the midst of the schools of carps inside the lake. In the scorching golden light rays on the lake's surface, a golden carp currently swam gracefully. On the other half of the lake, frozen with cold light, a blue carp similarly swam around leisurely, showing a stark contrast to the rest of the carps. Its whole body was glowing extraordinarily. They were the legendary yin-yang carps. The legendary yin-yang carps are born at the center of the lake water where the sun and moonlight intersect. Only one pair can possibly appear in 100 years. Because one is yin and the other yang, thus were they named the yin-yang carps. This star beast, if paired with a yin-yang type weapon, would become even sharper. It was necessary to draw this pair of yin-yang carps into the center of the intersection of yin and yang to form a couple. However, Su Xing, how will you go attract them? Zhao Hanyan gently smiled to the side. Although she agreed to yield the yin-yang carps to Su Xing, the Ling Yan princess appeared interested in what Su Xing would do next. Su Xing also knew the legends of the yin-yang carp. Yan Yizhen had mentioned before the subjugation process for this beast. If it was compared to a powerful star beast like the void dragon false phoenix, the yin-yang carp could be considered to be incomparably gentler, but a problem was that they had to simultaneously draw the yin-yang carps together, which was comparably thorny. Furthermore, the time this yin-yang lake existed was approximately only 4 hours. When the yin-yang lake lost its light, the yin-yang carps would disappear. This was why the yin-yang carps would become a legend in Liangshan. "Little E, have you finished preparing?" Su Xing said. Yan Yizhen extended her hand. "Master, please take this." In her palm was the Nuwa jade. "You take it." Su Xing shook his head in refusal. Zhao Hanyan was shocked the moment she looked at that magic weapon. She faintly smiled. "This is an ancient lost treasure refined into an astral treasure? Unexpectedly, it is heavenly spirit grade. Su Xing, I feel you had better take it. By the time you go corral the yin-yang carps, the yin-yang lake will make you suffer." "No need, little E, keep it for yourself. This is my order." Su Xing knew the power of the yin-yang lake. Otherwise, the yin-yang carps would not appear so rarely. However, Su Xing cared even more for Yan Yizhen's safety, just a bit of lake water. "If I can't dodge it, how would I have the qualifications to become your master?" Slave servant does not care about this at all. Yan Yizhen calmly answered. "I care." Su Xing smiled. Yan Yizhen was silent. Zhao Hanyan was taken aback. She laughed. "Su Xing, you actually are a man." The Dong Junqing standing next to Zhao Hanyan snorted. Her gaze watched Su Xing and itched to carve his flesh. Yan Yizhen did not say anything more. She was very clear about Su Xing's personality. Su Xing took in a deep breath. The two each picked a side. Su Xing chose yang, and Yan Yizhen chose yin. At practically the same time, the two people jumped into the lake. But when they entered the water, Su Xing suddenly felt an extreme burning scorch his whole body's organs. Su Xing believed that he could endure every sort of pain very well. Just the chaotic tail escape was enough to make people terrified, but compared to this suffering, the pain of this moment seemed to evolve from deep within. A powerful heat burned his muscle and bone, as if it was about to melt Su Xing. Besides the acute pain, his lower half expanded even more and was about to burst. Su Xing knew this was a characteristic of the yin-yang lake. Yang water was fire, yin water was cold. One side was an extreme burning and body-breaking yang fire, and the other side was a deep frigidity that could not be underestimated in any way. With the Nuwa Jade's protection, temporarily, Yan Yizhen should have no problems. Su Xing also calmed down. The strong burning pain still did not count as anything to Su Xing, but that yang fire of desire bursting forth was practically torment for the male sex. Su Xing activated the absolute sincerity soul technique to barely suppress it, and he seized whatever willpower he could to persevere, immediately searching for the yang carp. In the water, the yang carp giving off warm light was very easy to lock onto. Su Xing swam over, starting to corral it. The process of herding the yang carp was not difficult. Besides dodging the annoying water thistles, there were no difficulties, but the yang carp's speed was extremely fast that having it forced to the border of the yin lake to meet the yin carp just happened to be a very difficult mission. It required the two people to have extremely high tacit understanding, otherwise, with the slightest mistake, the two carps would brush past each other in an enormous waste of time, leaving Su Xing and Yan Yizhen without much time from the 4 hours they had. On the other side, the Nuwa Jade on Yan Yizhen's forehead emitted a lustrous treasure light that enveloped the skillful star within. The surrounding chill was alleviated greatly by the heavenly spirit-grade astral treasure. The remaining cold did not affect the maid in the slightest. The ice-cold swimming yin carp very quickly was discovered. Yan Yizhen promptly swam over there. Zhao Hanyan spectated as she stood on the islet, showing a surprised expression. In her eyes, she saw that although the two were each separated a great distance, their teamwork nevertheless was exceptionally precise. Regardless of where they were driven from, their herding was the same, as if they were reflections. The yin-yang carps incessantly swam about and looped around in the lake water, their paths almost identical. A most surprising tacit understanding. This purple thunder monster actually has merit. Zhao Hanyan smiled. Dong Junqing twitched her lips in displeasure. She was somewhat gloomy that Zhao Hanyan would be so undisturbed from having her first kiss stolen by a man just a moment ago. Princess Highness, this purple thunder monster is a star master. Your Highness must not be confused by him. This princess naturally realizes this point. Junqing, you need not be so concerned. Zhao Hanyan understood. That is for the best. Dong Junqing twitched her lips, unconvinced. Princess Highness, what are your plans to go find those tears of Vega to undo the intertwined branch swords? Oh, just wait until after this princess birthday banquet passes, and then we will go. If only the bright moon longevity palace had the tears of Vega. Zhao Hanyan smiled, her eyes rolled. The Lingyan princess said, we just so happen to be able to summon call Su Xing to go. We do not know where this purple thunder monster hails from. It is so strange. How would he have so many heavenly stars? Junqing, can you discern any of his background? Zhao Hanyan inquisitively asked. Just now, Su Xing's 24 flying swords seemed to be very powerful, however, this princess was unable to see its sect. It seems to be an ancient sword chant, but the materials it is forged from are very formidable. This princess surmises the golden flying swords should be forged from dragon scales, the wood swords from the 10,000-year evil suppressing gem bamboo. The purple thunder monster truly is ostentatious. Across all of Liangshan continent, he is so extravagant. Dong Junqing shook her head. To be frank, she also was completely unable to deduce any of his background. This general feels he must be bragging. The steadfast star's eyes were somewhat jealous, unwilling to believe Su Xing could have that many sisters attending to him. Zhao Hanyan smiled yet did not speak. This man definitely will be a formidable foe in the star duels someday. Right now is the perfect chance to root out. Dong Junqing's tone had some killing intent. And when the intertwined branch swords manifest their effects afterwards, this princess is to withdraw from the star duels. To give others a convenience? Zhao Hanyan mocked. This princess does not have any interest in this at all. Su Xing indeed is powerful, but Junqing need not worry like this. Has Chao Gai not appeared? It cannot be said for certain that she came to nab the purple thunder monster. To have the intertwined branch swords with him appears not be a bad thing at all, Zhao Hanyan muttered. Dong Junqing was startled upon hearing this. Princess Highness, how can you have these sorts of thoughts? Zhao Hanyan faintly smiled. At this moment, Su Xing and Yan Yizhen herded the yin-yang carps to the end. Originally, the yin-yang lake's greatest difficulty was that yang and yin lake water. Fortunately, Su Xing and Yan Yizhen had their own ways to resist. Continuing to rely on the tacit understanding between the two of them, this supreme undertaking's completion was only to be expected. In the split second Su Xing's and Yan Yizhen's eyes met, each of their hearts emitted a fantastic warmth. The two carps at this moment saw their own counterparts. As if they were pulled together like magnets, they began to swim around in circles. When Yan Yizhen saw this, she knew she had subdued the yin-yang carps to the optimal timing. She immediately brought out the evil smiting writ, formed a hand seal, and the yin-yang carps immediately crisscrossed in their swimming as they began to slowly blend into a capture. In this process that required absolute silence without being disturbed, Su Xing took responsibility of guarding her. When Zhao Hanyan saw that the capture of the yin-yang carps was this successful, she slightly sighed and rose. Just at this moment, a gigantic shadow suddenly flew out of the forest. A dragon roared, a phoenix cried. A gale blew in all directions, blowing the yin-yang lake into a cluttered mess. Su Xing immediately used his star energy to form a barrier that protected the yin-yang carps currently crossing their yin and yang, so as to avoid being disturbed. He lifted his head and immediately cursed to himself, "Fuck." An enormous spirit beast flew out. This beast was like a dragon, like a phoenix, appearing quite strange, but its build was tremendous. Two wings like blades carved open the night. Astonishingly, it was Void Dragon False Phoenix. Damn. Su Xing suddenly recalled that the Void Dragon False Phoenix took the yin-yang carps to be food. Clearly, the difference in the yin-yang lake also simultaneously drew this powerful star beast over. The Void Dragon False Phoenix took aim at the yin-yang carps and immediately lunged. When Su Xing saw, how could he allow it to succeed? He immediately met it head-on. 24 flying swords whooshed out. This man is out of luck. Dong Junqing was somewhat passive as she watched. How could she have anticipated that the Ling Yan princess would fly out, making Dong Junqing startled? For him to be out of luck, this princess certainly is not pleased. Zhao Hanyan softly laughed. This general definitely does not want to aid the enemy. Dong Junqing snorted. The Void Dragon False Phoenix's intimidating air was not the least bit inferior to the legendary holy beasts. Multicolored lights sparkled across its whole body, and when it saw the yin-yang lake, it appeared even more sinister than when he first saw it. The multicolored light showed down like a whip. This terrifying star beast merely barely opened its mouth. Each type of the 5 spirits immortal magic of Su Xing's true star purple chi and purple mansion immortal thunder were turned into whimpers and scattered dust. Countless purple thunders, talismans, astral tools, flying swords, whatever abilities Su Xing could think of was totally offered. In short, so long as he could draw the Void Dragon False Phoenix's aggression to turn it towards himself, Su Xing was not stingy at all to fight for time for Yan Yizhen to capture the yin-yang carps. What made Su Xing very gloomy was that his powerful attacks unexpectedly were incapable of bringing about any effects. Each of the Void Dragon False Phoenix's cries that shook the earth made a power turn to dust and ash. "Hey, Zhao Hanyan, you won't help hubby?" Su Xing raised his flying sword, and the 24 flying swords descended. He turned his head around and spoke helplessly to the spectating Ling Yan princess. "Is this a begging tone?" Zhao Hanyan smiled. "There's no need to be so heartless." Su Xing chuckled. "This Void Dragon False Phoenix should be very useful to steadfast star Dong Junqing, right? How about this, I'll help you, and we'll capture it together." "You speak truly so pleasantly. Obviously you need to fight for time." Zhao Hanyan snorted. "Can you achieve what you claim?" Dong Junqing's eyelips jumped, thoughtfully speaking. "One word worth 9 sacred pots." 3. The Void Dragon False Phoenix fiercely swooped down. Su Xing blocked it with great difficulty. The two yin-yang carps required a lot of time to combine, and Yanizhen was incapable of protecting herself. To have him alone go obstruct the void dragon false phoenix honestly was somewhat too difficult. Junqing. Dong Junqing pondered for a moment, as if she was weighing the pros and cons of this matter. The void dragon false phoenix indeed was one of Dong Junqing's star beasts. This beast given to a martial general like Dong Junqing actually was very suitable. This general shall help little sister. The steadfast star smiled and raised her dragon and phoenix yin-yang spears. Dong Junqing and Zhao Hanyan's eyes instantly contracted to reveal essence light. The star crests on their foreheads twinkled, and in the next instant, they suddenly skyrocketed. They gracefully launched their attacks. Dong Junqing's gentle and beautiful body suddenly leapt a distance of several thousand meters, faster than even light. Su Xing practically only felt something flash past him. He saw the dragon and phoenix yin-yang spears in her hand cut down that void dragon false phoenix with power that could topple mountains and overturn seas. A shocking radiance appeared in the sky. The void dragon false phoenix's defenses could be rated as tyrannical and magnificent. The flame-like rays of light on its whole body painstakingly resisted this strike, as if there could only be such a tyrannical battle style that could pour out the pride of a legendary star beast. In the instant the standoff reached its peak, a dazzling light finally exploded between them. The air above the lake's surface suddenly rose with a pervasive mist. Dong Junqing's expression was serious and solemn. The dragon and phoenix yin-yang double spears made an all-out effort, sufficient to easily kill a powerful star cultivator, endlessly sweeping out spearlight. The void dragon false phoenix angrily screeched, annoyed that someone would interrupt its rush. Finally, it felt pain. That gentle and beautiful body's attacks were abnormally fast. A range of several hundred meters suddenly burned with a bright flame, yet this attack nevertheless sunk into empty space. Long before the void dragon false phoenix launched its attack, Dong Junqing already evaded to a sufficiently safe place. The void dragon false phoenix opened its enormous mouth. All of a sudden, the violent gale it brought easily created a super hurricane. Dong Junqing was like rapid in the middle of an ocean. At a low altitude, she recklessly charged. Dragging behind her was a long and continuous light golden trail. Upon the simple lake, these bright flames and yin-yang blazes were especially eye-catching. Until the void dragon false phoenix's third attack was launched, only then did the steadfast star suddenly pull her body up, cutting past a tightly curved trajectory. Afterwards, she brought enormous energy again to slam into the void dragon false phoenix's huge body. While Maiden Mountain's most powerful five tigers general and the void dragon false phoenix fought an all-out close-quarters battle, Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan were not idle. Flying swords emerged, releasing even more sword light, rising and falling like waves. A dazzling yang light gleamed, forcing the originally utterly chaotic lake surface to gradually turn into an endless light ray. A magnificent flame gulped as if it were alive, pouncing over. The wings on the void dragon false phoenix flapped and launched an attack at Dong Junqing. A golden disc opened around Dong Junqing, immediately reflecting the attack. A beautiful figure arrived. She was Zhao Hanyan. As the steadfast star's star master, Zhao Hanyan naturally had sufficient means and tacit understanding, taking up guard of the steadfast star. "Be a bit more careful, Junqing," Zhao Hanyan said. Dong Junqing slightly smiled. The woman suddenly left her. In practically an instant, the body of the general of double spears used a speed that transcended consciousness to move about. In the instant she leaned, she felt an extremely sharp blade fly past her head. A thin but matchlessly dazzling white line appeared by her head, sweeping across the entire lake's surface. An enormous pattern was carved out of the earth. When Su Xing saw, he immediately dodged and blocked, descending in front of the yin-yang carps to stop this sharp light. Then, a sharp buzzing in the air filled everyone's eardrums. The lake's surface drawn on by the ray of light showed a melting state due to the high temperatures. The glossy surface reflected this light, appearing very brilliant. Afterwards, on the two sides of this scratch, there nevertheless were countless large trees and schools of carp cut open by this. What is this thing? Dong Junqing looked bewildered at the earth that had been cut apart, exceptionally surprised. She licked her lips. This general wants it even more. The void dragon false phoenix raised its head towards the sparkling skies, gazing towards that burning red point at the zenith, where its prey was. Then, its whole body suddenly raised a red pillar of flame straight through the clouds, as if it was an enormous sword that could even cut down gods. Countless swathes of raging flames cut apart the air, coiling and twining up the scarlet sword. Very quickly, it formed a heaven-concealing vortex. The hot wind of the fragments instantly wrapped the mountain range, and on the peak of this red wave, the void dragon false phoenix currently braved the winds and billows. The flames infiltrating its figure instantly broke straight through the skies. The entire night was seemingly illuminated by the void dragon false phoenix's dazzling body. Brightly lit, its majestic wings were similar to two sharp arrows, cutting apart the flaring air, cutting apart the gloomy skies, cutting apart the line of vision of the three. One look showed it was about to use full power. Su Xing and the other two did not dare be careless. An instant after this blaze that practically evolved seemingly with life, the yin-yang lake was close to being evaporated away. A graveyard was already visible in its interior. The incomparably tyrannical destructive power of the void dragon false phoenix seemingly was declaring its power. Dong Junqing and Zhao Hanyan were sent flying by the void dragon false phoenix. At this time, this type of star beast already was absolutely not something an ordinary star master could capture. Countless fire serpents flew out from the void dragon false phoenix's body. These scarlet bright lines similar to wild vines weaved into a gigantic net, dyeing the entire sky in its color of fresh blood. The true first wave of attacks is about to come. Su Xing's expression was grave as he stared at each and every one of the void dragon false phoenix's moves. Then, a figure flashed. 24 flying swords flew out and battled the tongues of flame filling the skies, but the main point was still to protect a bit of lake water to the end. We do not need your concern. Protect little sister's star beast. Dong Junqing's lovely magnetic voice came as she was pulled around at high altitudes, at life and death speeds. Under the inescapable net the void dragon false phoenix spread open, Dong Junqing suddenly raised her cloak, unimaginably streaking past the sky, leaving behind only an awe-inspiring trail of red light among the curtain of 5 colors. And at the tip of this trail, a flock of fire snakes flocked over by the tens of thousands, like fireworks blooming across the whole sky, each one among them pervading a fatal aura. But although this imposing air was great, the speedily moving group of snakes basically were incapable of catching that fuzzy target. It was just a moment in the blink of an eye, and they were already ripped to shreds by the dragon and phoenix yin-yang spear's light. The extended bodies were tangled together due to their blind chase, twisting them together into a massive fireball. Her speed is so fast, and her dodges are quite awesome. Su Xing slightly exclaimed. Dong Junqing was worthy of being called a 5-tiger. This level of awareness made Su Xing see only dust from being left far behind. Every evasion left him practically dazzled. The void dragon false phoenix's countless tongues of flames seemingly were regarded as nothing. But the void dragon false phoenix's close-quarters attacks was far from just that. At the same time, a large expanse of flame once again soared up from the enormous wings on its back. Thick to opaqueness layers of heat waves emerged one after another. The fire snakes crowded together, baring their fangs as they threw themselves over. This is not good. If this continues, sooner or later, we will be hit. Zhao Hanyan's tranquil pupils fiercely contracted. We must counterattack. Dong Junqing sternly took hold of the discussion. Her pupils were just like the northernmost ice that reflected sunlight. A piercing light wandered her grave expression. Zhao Hanyan's whole body began to radiate with an elegant brilliance, indeed very pretty and dazzling. Zhao Hanyan formed several hand seals in succession, and the true immortal swords psychically surrounded Dong Junqing, revolving in a group. This was a powerful protective sword array. At the same time, the 12 Langya appeared at her side to defend her. Dong Junqing was somewhat surprised. Glancing at Su Xing, she did not say anything. Seizing the opportunity the protective flying sword arrays of Zhao Hanyan and Su Xing brought her, she moved with unprecedented force. Dong Junqing furiously shouted, drawing an enormous half-circle in midair. She raised that dragon and phoenix yin-yang spear, her figure breaking through the fire snakes with a speed incapable of perception to the naked eye. Like a shooting star flitting across the darkness, she plunged straight from the heavens to the void dragon false phoenix's crest. Her double spears released a light more scorching than the sun, an ice-cold light more freezing than the moon. In the next instant, two colliding boundaries burst forth with an acute and dense wave pattern. A powerful force swallowed and disappeared with each other at the point of impact, releasing a sort of ringing that arose when metal was scraped. A burning hot gale suddenly rolled across the entire battlefield, and even the chain of mountains seemed to tremble slightly. Piercing through the storm of flames, Dong Junqing's double spears slashed. Boom! Countless rays of yin-yang spearlight seemed to shatter, falling in large pieces. These fragments became phantoms of falling dragons and phoenixes. A blizzard that directly covered, it practically made the sky and earth split open. A powerful disintegration attacked the void dragon false phoenix and hindered it. Su Xing was greatly shocked. This was a heaven-earth dark yellow technique? Top Luan inverted phoenix slash. Dong Junqing shouted. The top Luan inverted phoenix slash was like a surging river. The yin-yang dragon and phoenix intertwined as they descended, giving rise to an immense might, and when Dong Junqing used this techniques, her star crest glimmered like the sun. Unexpectedly, she had used a Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow skill with a Star Cultivator. The Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow skill was one of a Star Maiden's extremely powerful abilities. Any Star Cultivator took it as a fearful existence. It could resonate with other Star Maidens as well as resonate with Star Cultivators. However, this Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow skill was extremely difficult to manifest. Only when they reached a realm of perfect psychic understanding with a Star Cultivator could they use it. Su Xing thought as much. With that, mirror polishing between Dong Junqing and Zhao Hanyan, being able to use the Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow skill was nothing odd at all. The yin-yang dragon and phoenix's storm wrapped the void dragon false phoenix within, ravaging the inside of several dozen Li Dong Junqing's top Luan inverted phoenix slash was actually not as powerful as imagined. It was considered an upgraded version of yin-yang cross slash. After the two flames of yin and yang burned out, the void dragon false phoenix was not at all completely subdued. Its dim wings lost their luster and showed the void dragon false phoenix already was at its last gasp. Dong Junqing seized this chance to attack. The void dragon false phoenix suddenly cried, which was more resounding than a thunderclap. It surpassed any sound in this world. The dim wings reignited their bright flames, more dazzling than before. A range of 100 li was enveloped in red clouds. The void dragon false phoenix wants to make a dying strike. When Su Xing saw this, he immediately urged the 24 flying swords into a defensive stance. The metal swords Heaven Tearing and wood swords Lengia crisscrossed each other. Zhao Hanyan agreed. 32 outer void flying immortal swords whooshed out, the sword light just like a self-dropping galaxy, bolt after bolt hovering around her whole body. They formed 32 beams of light, each beam with a flying sword transforming, and they became a mysterious and fantastical sword array. Just at this moment, the void dragon false phoenix opened its mouth, and a ball of light swirled at high speeds in its mouth, instantly swelling from a single layer of thin flow into a surging vortex. A vortex that covered the skies and earth as it launched downwards. In that instant the flow of time seemed to stop. A swelling storm of hot wind died out, and even the incomparably steady determination of everyone in that instant froze. Everything in the surroundings gradually blurred, covered by a wave-like light and shadow swallowed. Yet in the middle of this frozen space, that illusory crimson light concentrated in the void dragon false phoenix's mouth appeared to be a dazzling star in the midst of night. A keen multicolored light launched from inside the void dragon false phoenix's mouth. This trail of light was very comparable to a sky-splitting, earth-rending sword. First, it split the entire earth in two. Then, it sharply severed half the cliff. Finally, it slammed into Su Xing's and Zhao Hanyan's sword arrays without stopping in the least. The void dragon false phoenix indignantly roared, bombarding the flying swords in the same breath with its death declaration, like an unstoppable tide. Sensing a pressure heavy as Mount Tai on the flying swords, Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan's expressions simultaneously turned grave. The two successively struck hand seals, their star energy endlessly imbued into the swords. The 56 flying swords were like a heaven-concealing canopy. However, the Void Dragon False Phoenix's concentrated final attack had power far beyond the imagination of the two. The flying sword struggled, but immediately afterwards, there was a gloomy tearing noise. The several dozen flying swords were still incapable of blocking such a powerful blow, and the flying swords were vaguely about to be blown away. The Void Dragon False Phoenix roused its heaven-concealing wings. Its dragon tail wriggled, its dragon claws clenched, and it made a shrill bird cry. That ray of multicolored light that sprayed out swelled up just like a lunar high tide. The sword array, the flying swords, tottered on the verge of collapse. Even an 8th or 9th rank demon beast would dread this attack of the Void Dragon False Phoenix, let alone that Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan's flying swords were far from reaching this realm. By the time the flying swords broke, multicolored lights filling the sky were like a falling galaxy. At that time, a range of several dozen li enveloped within would be destroyed. If it was the typical Su Xing, he could probably use the escape technique to dodge. However, skillful star Yan Yizhen was currently at the final moments of capturing the yin-yang carps, so he could not evade even if he wanted to. Use the intertwined branch sword. Zhao Hanyan's voice entered his ear. Su Xing nodded. Their divine intents moved, and the two were in perfect synchronization. At practically the same time, two serene blue lights flew out. The intertwined branch swords floated above Su Xing's and Zhao Hanyan's heads. Green light flashed, and a green bridge emerged that connected the two people together. A green light then wrapped around the two people. Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan formed hand seals at the same time. The two swords were intertwined. They became a green bridge that shot straight forwards. The blue light linked together, and like a hot knife through butter, with only the sound of the Void Dragon False Phoenix's sorrowful cry, the intertwined branch swords shot into the Void Dragon False Phoenix's body. This powerful star beast at this time already was an arrow at the end of its path. Its wings finally fanned a flame in preparation to first trap these people and then flee. These flames suddenly faded after forming halfway. A cold figure appeared in the middle. Her two hands moved in a pattern, naturally and flowing, and in a very lovely way. The Void Dragon False Phoenix released flames that immediately dispersed before even drawing near her. Upon her bare back, there was a blood-colored tattoo that now had added to it the shapes of two yin-yang fishes. She emitted an aura of ice-cold resolution. She was Yan Yizhen. "Little E, you've done it?" Su Xing asked in pleasant surprise. "Master, leave the next things to your servant." Yan Yizhen was resolute. After she said this, Yan Yizhen once again looked at the Void Dragon False Phoenix. The chi flames of the Void Dragon False Phoenix in front of her already greatly ebbed, but this powerful star beast still made Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan feel helpless. The intertwined branch swords' combined attack seemed to be effective. Probably, the two had not yet reached that genuine psychic link, the perfect harmony realm. The Void Dragon False Phoenix looked at Yan Yizhen, making a phoenix cry and dragon roar. Its colored wings fluttered, its dragon tail swayed, and it spat out multicolored light. Yan Yizhen's 10 fingers slowly clenched, the star crest on her forehead shimmered, and at this time, a strange scene occurred. The warm yang carp and the cold yin carp successively appeared on Yan Yizhen's left and right. This pair of yin-yang carps nevertheless swam around without water around Yan Yizhen's whole body. Wherever they passed, there was an illusory stream of yin and yang. Two kinds of light rays swelled on Yan Yizhen's yin-yang Pisces fists. Su Xing noticed that Yan Yizhen's fists that originally had 3 stars in their surroundings now had an additional starlight, but this starlight was completely different from the lights of yin and yang. The Void Dragon False Phoenix screamed. Yen Yizhen's pupils at this time glowed with the two colors of yin and yang. The servant rose steeply upwards, afterimages emerging in succession. Her figure drew out a gorgeous arc that leapt towards the void dragon false phoenix. Her fists tightly clenched, smashing straight on. Boom! The void dragon false phoenix spat out scarlet light rays in an attempt to resist. But the maid's silhouette was just like a phantom that pierced through its attack, her two fists wildly dancing. A cold light of dense chill and an intensely burning flame successively exploded on the void dragon false phoenix's body, combining into a twisting storm. Acting as a support-type star beast, the yin-yang corpse could allow any yin-yang type destined star weapon to rise a level. Yen Yizhen's yin-yang Pisces fists already had 3-star. Under the current assistance of the yin-yang corpse, she practically held an overwhelming advantage over the void dragon false phoenix. Su Xing flipped out the birth treasure outline, very curious about the status of the current Yen Yizhen. Star position, skillful star name, Yen Qing nickname, wanderer true name, Yen Yizhen rank, 36th star weapon, yin-yang Pisces boxing gloves, 4-star, /3 arrows lethal crossbow star beast, yin-yang corpse realm, extreme border first stage innate skill, boxing arts 5 elements, water yellow rank special move, swallow flash samsara yin-yang palm current status, contractor Su Xing detailed materials, in yin-yang corpse state, realm and star weapon overall upgraded. Su Xing's mouth gaped, not having thought the yin-yang corpse unexpectedly were so powerful. She unexpectedly already entered the extreme border realm, and her star weapon had 4-star. She was practically unrivaled in the first stages. No wonder the yin-yang corpse would be so difficult to settle and even draw the void dragon false phoenix over. This type of star beast perhaps was one a martial general would long for day and night. When Su Xing lifted his head to look once again at little E, Dong Junqing was unwilling to remain idle and joined in the fray. Without any pause, the void dragon false phoenix finally was captured by Dong Junqing using the evil smiting writ and became her star beast. Seeing the steadfast star general of double spears capture it, Yen Yizhen was indifferent. She knew that when she captured the yin-yang corpse, Zhao Hanyan and Dong Junqing helped her immensely, but the maid did not have any reluctance, returning light as a feather to Su Xing's side. The yin-yang corpse swimming around her body slowly faded. Su Xing nodded, giving an approving expression. Worthy of being called the legendary yin-yang corpse. Zhao Hanyan exclaimed. The void dragon false phoenix isn't bad either. Capturing it used a lot of time. Su Xing watched that void dragon false phoenix with envy. With this sort of powerful star beast acting as a mount, Su Xing felt this was a very thorny problem. Zhao Hanyan pursed her lips, silent. Right, the 18th of next month is this princess' birthday. This princess wants to have you come meet Father Emperor. The Ling Yan princess remembered something. Your birthday? Su Xing was taken aback. Father Emperor wishes to arrange a banquet for this princess. Since you and this princess have the intertwined branch swords, it is expected that you should come. Zhao Hanyan feigned calm. Nevertheless, her heart was somewhat nervous. Su Xing wrinkled his brow, not very much inclined to participate in her banquet. Could it be you want to decline? Zhao Hanyan's brows rose, her almond eyes widened. This is the first time this princess has invited anyone, and you are this heartless? Right now, you should know my situation. Su Xing said. The 10 great sects are all searching for me. What are you afraid of? So long as this princess does not speak, who in the world would know that you are the purple thunder monster's true face? Furthermore, Zhao Hanyan chuckled, furthermore, at that time, this princess and you still will have something to do. What thing? The thing between a husband and wife? Su Xing said in ridicule. Zhao Hanyan clicked her tongue. Shameless pervert, after the 3rd phase, the star duels will truly begin. This princess actually does not wish to be enemies with you. You have the purple star jade pendant, correct? N. How many immortals' abodes have you opened? 1. And this is it. The purple star jade pendant can establish 3 immortals' abodes, but the distance must be 10,000 li apart. Such a far distance is very dangerous, But if you can establish an immortal's abode, the rare potions and treasures of the immortal's abode will be a great help in the star duels someday. Zhao Hanyan said. Su Xing nodded. There was some logic. Now that Chao Gai has descended, the sects can no longer meddle in the star duels. At that time, we shall cooperate, and we can pass the final phase together. Zhao Hanyan stared at Su Xing. Su Xing smiled. This Ling Yan princess perhaps was unaware that Chao Gai had locked onto him. His troubles were so many. I'll ponder over it first. I'm leaving Evil Smiting Hall. I still have other things. Hearing Su Xing not give her a clear reply, Zhao Hanyan was somewhat annoyed. She firmly stared at this unromantic guy. However, no matter what, you must come to this princess' birthday banquet. For what? To introduce me to father-in-law? Is the knowledge star still following you? Zhao Hanyan asked again without answering. Obtaining a positive answer, Zhao Hanyan narrowed her eyes. She smiled and said, This princess requires a helping hand from the knowledge star to come open the Bright Moon Longevity Palace's 1,000-year puzzle. The Longevity Palace may possess the Tears of Vega. If you do not wish to be compelled by the intertwined branch swords, then do not regret it. I will inform Xinjie, but everything depends on how she replies. Su Xing answered. Zhao Hanyan nodded without saying anything. Seeing that Dong Junqing was already almost finished with the capture, she threw over an invitation card and unceremoniously left some parting words. For the Longevity Palace on the 18th of next month, whether we are friends or foes, that is all a matter of a single thought. Hearing Zhao Hanyan's words that were seemingly threatening yet not, Su Xing smiled. Liked it? Su Xing and Yan Yizhen glanced at each other, then faced Zhao Hanyan without uttering a word. After obtaining the Void Dragon False Phoenix, the Ling Yan Princess and Steadfast Star Dong Junqing did not delay for too long. The two women in the end each somewhat profoundly looked at Su Xing, and then they left this place. Su Xing also did not waste time, swiftly leaving Evil Smiting Hall. In the Void Immortal's abode, the beauties already were waiting for a long time, waiting for Su Xing and Yan Yizhen to come out. Naturally, they could not avoid but curiously ask questions. When they saw the yin-yang carps swimming around Yan Yizhen's body, they felt even more surprised. This time, Wu Xinjie followed routine and asked about Su Xing's and Yan Yizhen's encounters in Evil Smiting Hall. Su Xing introduced very simply the matter with Zhao Hanyan, warning that Dong Junqing had unexpectedly obtained the Void Dragon False Phoenix, which was somewhat astonishing. However, Zhao Hanyan's birthday banquet and the Bright Moon Longevity Palace's invitation made them even more shocked. The Bright Moon Longevity Palace, it is one of the Liangshan continent's 7 great tombs. Legend has it that the inside has things like the Tears of Vega, 1,000-year Tears of Empress Hua. However, up until now, no one has solved this puzzle. What sort of puzzle could be this hard? Shi Yuan curiously asked. Legend says the Bright Moon Longevity Palace conceals a palace hall, but always, no one can find this palace hall. Wu Xinjie slowly said. The knowledge star brimmed with interested for every sort of ancient ruin. However, the 7 great tombs were hidden very deep. Actually, no one had found out about them at the present time. If we have time, then we'll go and take a look. Su Xing nodded. Wu Xinjie agreed. Next should be elder sister Ying going to Evil Smiting Hall. And Suwen said. The efficacious star's words immediately made everyone gaze at Lin Yingmei. Su Xing looked at the expressionless Lin Yingmei and smiled. Walking over, Lin Yingmei had a serious expression. She raised the Evil Smiting writ, and the gazes of the two looked at each other. Compared to the first time he saw Yingmei, the girl right now had greatly changed. Her eyes no longer had a deep wariness and detachment. What made Su Xing's heart move even more was the luster they were filled with, all of it entirely indescribable. Instantly, the two disappeared from the Void Immortal's abode. I wonder what sort of star beast Su Xing will capture for Yingmei? Shi Yuan guessed. The majestic star's star beasts are all very formidable. And Suwen showed a bit of worry. She saw the hero star capture the heavenly hero Red Luan and naturally realized the star beasts these top 10 ranked elder sisters had certainly were not easy. Generally, for these star generals to capture the star beasts, they would use very long times to go waste the star beast's energy, in the end capturing them. However, currently, Su Xing's time was not much. To capture them like this truly was somewhat difficult. Wu Xiao grunted. Your servant actually wishes to see how he will treat Ingmei. All of the girls smiled. A biting cold northern wind like a blade cut against their faces. This world of ice and snow carried a frigid roar. This roaring sound ravaged their wills over and over. The air it breathed out could instantly freeze anything. Exposed skin would instantly necrotize and fall off. In the ice and frost, every sort of thing cold to the extreme often was named for the cold. As far as the eye could see, the sky was an entire expanse of whiteness. Su Xing looked at the surrounding world of ice and snow, taking in a long breath of icy air. This place was the coldest region of Evil Smiting Hall. It was colder than the Silent Path some. Although he knew Lin Yingmei's star beast appeared in places with ice and snow, he did not expect the environment to be so vile. The ice-cold northern wind was bone-chilling enough to cause pain. Young master? A voice penetrated the blizzard. Lin Yingmei's eyes were somewhat worried. I'm fine, what about you? Su Xing asked. Lin Yingmei nodded. Let's go look for it first. Su Xing looked around this land of ice. Vaguely, he could hear the cries of every sort of beast. Clearly, this place had many star beasts. The majestic star's star beast was much easier to find than he had imagined, just after several hours. On a mountain range, completely bundled up figures appeared. In their surroundings, lay more than a dozen spirit beast corpses with black fur and blue eyes that were seemingly wolf-like yet also seemingly tiger-like. One animal still alive spat out a green phosphoric flame. This flame instantly died out. A leg planted into its body and ground its head to pieces. The youth lifted his head, just happening to see a young girl wrapped in white ruthlessly kill one of these star beasts. This beast was known as Black Snow. It spat a blue phosphorescent flame, had a whole body of black. It was very frightening, and it was considered a relatively rare star beast. Once rode upon, these beasts would bring powerful pressure to anyone. Young master, do we not want these Black Snow? Lin Yingmei raised the Arctic Star Serpent Spear. The majestic star could take the Black Snow for capture. It's too wretched. Su Xing shook his head, wrapped his body tighter. The deeper into the ice world they went, the colder it became. Even with a constitution like Su Xing's, he was somewhat suffering. Actually, your servant is not at all concerned with star beasts. There are still the other sisters. Young master first of all must struggle for time. Lin Yingmei let out a cold and chattering tone. In any case, Yingmei is the first wife. How can I treat you unfairly? Su Xing smiled and said, but Lin Yingmei wanted to say something, but she was immediately interrupted by Su Xing. I know it's very hard to capture. It's precisely because of this that it's suitable for you. Even if we used a month, I wouldn't mind. Lin Yingmei slightly knit her brow. Seeing Su Xing apparently somewhat cold, the girl walked over. The majestic star took out the Arctic Star Serpent Spear. This 3-star star weapon emitted a warm light that made the surrounding snowstorm falling in several meters greatly alleviate. Su Xing clasped Lin Yingmei's hand. The girl faintly struggled, yet she did not oppose. The two supported each other in the blizzard, staggering forward. En route, they encountered many star beasts, but not a single one made Su Xing feel satisfied. An unknown amount of time passed when finally, a towering mountain range appeared inside the blizzard. This mountain range was just like a gigantic creeping dragon, layer upon layer, winding and twisting. At first glance, it seemingly did not have an end. Finally, we can see the mountains. Su Xing let out a breath. No wonder he was so happy. Walking for so long across these icy plains that stretched as far as the eye could see, they finally could be considered to have seen something fresh. Legends said star beasts were even more prevalent in this mountain range. The two quickly advanced towards the mountain range. Suddenly, an enormous noise came from some unknown place. An iceberg up ahead violently trembled. The two were shocked, promptly stopping their footsteps. They then saw a huge light fly down from the mountain. The entire iceberg suddenly shuddered violently, and an enormous amount of chunks of ice endlessly fell from the top. When this beast flew, the power it gave rise to made the iceberg begin to shake apart. Immediately afterwards, a huge body slowly revealed its true form from within the mist. The two were shocked and dumbstruck. That was an enormous giant ice creature. Just its gigantic build alone was enough to give rise to a terrifying pressure. Cowards perhaps would have directly been scared to death. Its body seemingly had been made of 10,000 years of ice, pure and limpid, inconceivable. It flickered with the radiance of ice and snow. Su Xing saw it had a kind of feeling of being deeply astonished. What was particularly noteworthy was that this beast had two ice wings that seemingly were formed from light. This beast's head was panther-like yet not, wolf-like yet not. Its forehead was like it was wearing a crown of ice, full of a ruler's august might. The snow-walking frost-eye beast? Tu Lin Yingmei gasped. What? The snow-walking frost-eye beast? Su Xing's expression also changed. The snow-walking frost-eye beast spotted the pair inside the snowstorm. Those frost-white pupils released light. Those fantastical wings were then even more unbelievable. The first time he saw it, Su Xing's interest was piqued. He looked at Lin Yingmei, and the majestic star also flashed with a bit of excitement. The snow-walking frost-eye beast stared at them, that proud expression seemingly saying, "Insignificant human, leave this place at once. Here is not a place thou canst enter." Su Xing sensed this beast's valiant aspect. Compared to the heavenly hero Red Luan and the white and black unicorn tiger, it was at the same level. The snow-walking frost-eye beast strutted around as a hint. Seeing Su Xing and Lin Yingmei unconcerned, the snow-walking frost-eye beast opened its mouth wide open. Immediately, it was furious, spitting out a cold wind. The world changed colors, and a cold wind swept everything away. The entire mountain area gave rise to a powerful freezing feeling. Immediately, an illusory world of ice and snow appeared, leaving them unable to differentiate where the border was between the worlds. "Then it's you!" Su Xing coldly shouted, and 24 flying swords arose, displaying a fierce glow in the snowstorm. Lin Yingmei raised the Arctic Star Serpent Spear to launch an attack at the same time. Behind the snow-walking frost-eye beast dragged a long trail of ice, as if it wanted to dye the entire dome of heaven with an icy color, yet that dreamy body, its sharp fangs as well as the bursts of rain-like frost it emitted, occupied the pair's entire line of sight. All of a sudden, a giant ice ball spat out from the snow-walking frost-eye beast's mouth. The chilliness penetrated bone, mixing with the gale's bellows. Once again, the originally extreme cold that reached the limit was brought to an even colder place. That dazzling light was like a comet, dragging a flaming tail. On the ground, it plowed open an ugly trench. A third shooting star followed close behind. The flowers cold to freezing at this place suddenly cheerfully burst forth on the ground. They endlessly boomed towards the pair. The flying swords attacked with a whoosh, linking together into one. Every impact of the shooting stars they sustained made Su Xing's expression change. Such powerful strength. Taking advantage of the flying swords and every sort of power to pin down the snow-walking frost-eye beast, the other things were left to the majestic star panther head to take responsibility for. Lin Yingmei dodged and weaved her way through the ice boulders booming throughout the whole sky. Her figure released an illusory silhouette. Something like this truly could fool the snow-walking frost-eye beast's eyes. The snow-walking frost-eye beast wildly spat out a fire of ice and frost. An ice-cold dragon breath ripped apart the shield of flying swords. Su Xing seemingly was like a tree in the wind, shuddering in that tidal wave-like airflow. The defenses the flying swords constructed were immediately blown to pieces by the snow-walking frost-eye beast. The ice and snow surrounding the snow-walking frost-eye beast's body then released a hissing noise. Lin Ying pushed against the hissing air pressure and the bone-chilling cold, lifting her head to face her target, and when the snow-walking frost-eye beast returned to its senses, the girl's ice-cold body already drew near in front of it. A shadow flit past it to the side. In their fleeting contact, it caused a violent sonic boom. Instantly, It ran through the entire world of ice and snow, echoing with booms. A blood-curdling scream without any warning sounded out that made people's hearts shrink back. The snow-walking frost-eye beast was somewhat startled as it looked at that Arctic star serpent spear of Linning Mei's with cold light leaping about. This beast evidently knew this destined star weapon's might. After several exchanges, its claws were riddled with injuries. While the snow-walking frost-eye beast was angry, a figure already appeared in front of it. Linning Mei raised the spear and slashed straight down. The cold light was devastating. An ice-cold light flowed inside the eyes of the snow-walking frost-eye beast's two dragon heads, and the ice-cold air enveloping its whole body pervaded the area. It very quickly recovered from its state of shock, its expression no longer underestimating them. The snow-walking frost-eye beast's crystalline body flashed with a limpid light. Particularly, those blinding light wings sliced apart the thin icy mist. Those silvery white light rays were just like a provoked viper, pouncing towards Linning Mei without the least bit of reservation. Linning Mei promptly sidestepped, but from that bulky lightning, it very quickly bit at her. The Arctic star serpent spear horizontally blocked. It was not an electric current, but rather a kind of chilliness that invaded her bones and organs, making the girl's body incapable of suppressing her shivers. Not good. The snow-walking frost-eye beast's fangs were bared, and its other claw scratched at Linning Mei to fell this girl in one slash. However, just on the verge of making contact with Linning Mei, the snow-walking frost-eye beast's claws were suddenly forcibly halted. A golden stream of light pounced towards it, and the strong wings stirred up by the burning flames became a dragon of light. The golden dragon's figure slammed into the snow-walking frost-eye beast, producing an explosion. The snow-walking frost-eye beast let out a furious roar. Its gaze turned, spotting the person that disturbed it. Su Xing's hands flipped through hand seals. The flying swords shuttled back and forth. Although the cold light shooting stars that the snow-walking frost-eye beast spat out stopped the flying swords, Su Xing still sent them out. Heaven-suppressing stillness hand. In the next moment, the purple cloud light flowed from low altitudes upwards. Following a phoenix cry, it transformed into an enormous heaven-concealing hand, climbing the ice-cold skies above the mountains to press towards the snow-walking frost-eye beast. Endless ice and frost covered and instantly destroyed the heaven-suppressing stillness hand. Su Xing then somersaulted in midair, sweeping aside an icicle, but the snow-walking frost-eye beast already bit at him. Hey! The snow-walking frost-eye beast astonishingly found that the youth in front of it disappeared without a trace. By the time it notices, he had already appeared on the other side. The spearlight of the Arctic star serpent spear clasped in extreme cold suddenly slashed. That snow-walking frost-eye beast attempting to attack Su Xing howled, for an abyss-like cut appeared, its watery blood freezing. Young master, we must be careful. Linning Mei knew this beast's valiance was absolutely not something a star cultivator could go contend against. Su Xing nodded, not daring to be careless. The snow-walking frost-eye beast roared, and a cold light shuddered into formation. Hey! Linning Mei shouted, her pupils suddenly becoming even colder than ice. The majestic star clenched the Arctic star serpent spear with both hands, her death godlike intimidating aura causing the snow-walking frost-eye beast to be suddenly frightened. How could this be? Now it is my turn. Spearlight rose, blood rain formed. Linning Mei was just like a ghost conducting a blitz on the snow-walking frost-eye beast. This haughty star beast used its full power, battling. Its illusory wings suddenly extended, and it flew into the skies. Linning Mei did not hesitate at all to soar into the sky as well. The snow-walking frost-eye beast still was proud, still with an appearance of contempt, still with a scoffing expression. Inside its mouth, it showed rows of sharp teeth, its face filled with a merciless smile. Sharp and long spines appeared on the snow-walking frost-eye beast's claws. These sharp claws were just like long sabers, and under the baptism of this snowstorm, it reflected a dull purple cold light. Behind it, its two giant illusory wings slightly extending. The light on the wings circulated freely. Looking on from afar, in this black world of snowstorms devoid of light, it was like a sun. The snow-walking frost eye beast's transformation made Su Xing smell danger. A shrill cry all of a sudden came from the air. An icy light abruptly appeared beside Su Xing, as if it already existed in that place. The cold light of the snow-walking frost eye beast's claws flashed, and it flew towards his neck. This star beast naturally knew that compared to contending against Lin Yingmei, to first get rid of the star cultivator would be an even greater advantage. Such fast speed! Su Xing's pupils suddenly contracted. As if he had been affected by an incorporeal giant hand, without bending his knees, his entire figure suddenly moved backwards, and a purple mansion immortal thunder boomed forth. Ding! It was just like a sudden explosion, a crisp and clear sound. That ice-cold light instantly was shattered by Su Xing's purple mansion immortal thunder. Countless thin shards shot in all direction. And at the same time Su Xing saw the snow-walking frost eye beast's pupils, a pair of completely passionless ice-cold eyes that seemed to live in hell. The deathly gaze of the snow-walking frost eye beast's hoar-frost eyes were full of an extreme apathy. Then, its other claw immediately clawed forth. Cold air greatly flourished and cold light swept through. Instantly, the snow-walking frost eye beast's figure was just like a ghost that came from hell, unexpectedly ignoring the distance between the two of them, directly appearing in front of Su Xing, its figure practically stuck completely against the ground. Before the ice light loosely hanging on its body disappeared, the sharp sword lights those illusionary wings brought already slashed forth. A lightning-like sword light. Since the counterpart already was using its final strength in a life-or-death struggle, then Su Xing also no longer was lax. The 12 heaven tearings sparkled forth and clashed with the snow-walking frost eye beast. The snow-walking frost eye beast immediately afterwards was about to counterattack, when at this time, an even deeper ice-cold approached. An instant spear light advanced and covered forth. Lin Yingmei already attacked. It was basically impossible to describe the terror of this sort of spear light. In actuality, when this spear light burst forth, the blizzard world seemingly feels silent. That perfect spear light was just like the most beautiful thing in the world, grasping the hearts of everyone in a split second, even making people forget the meaning that it represented. Clang clang! Lin Yingmei's spear swept aside the snow-walking frost eye beast's attack, but this was merely the beginning. All kinds of movement were completed at practically the same time. The girl's sharp figure instantly became a blurry mirror image. A rippling spear light like a tidal wave rose up, and an ice plane with a range of 3 zhang was lifted by this sort of frightening power at the same time. Again, it was pressed back by the incorporeal force. Layer upon layer, countless spear edges and blizzards instantly wrapped the snow-walking frost eye beast firmly within. Looking from afar, it was like a ball of light. Yellow rank spear technique long blizzard nights. The snow-walking frost eye beast cried out several times and was continuously pushed back 100 meters, but Lin Yingmei was far from done. After the majestic star leaned, her afterimages appeared in a multitude. Her attack flowed smoothly, like running water, not giving the snow-walking frost eye beast any chances to react. After using long blizzard nights was used, Lin Yingmei persisted, the Arctic star serpent spear not daring to let the star beast go as it continued its chase. The sky was filled with dazzling spear images, and the surrounding space practically was crammed full of this sort of unstoppable sword chi. The entire ice world was peeled layer after layer by this sort of power, endlessly. The snow-walking frost eye beast's figure suddenly stopped, pausing in midair then withdrawing. It turned around, its 2 claws attacking. The illusionary wings carried a cold light, releasing a demonic roar. Its light wings rolled up, and in Su Xing's line of sight, the light wings ground against each other, forming an enormous long sword that nearly reached several dozen meters that slashed at Lin Yingmei. At the same time, through its twisting power, from bottom upwards, a seemingly heaven-splitting and earth-rending terrifying sword of light suddenly rose. Bang! The concentrated sword light of these light wings were poignant beyond compare. Perhaps even Su Xing did not dare contend against it directly. This concentrated all of the snow-walking frost eye beast's strength into a terrifying attack, as if it truly possessed the capability to sever everything. Immediately, the sword light flashed, and a clear ray of light appeared even in the space of nothingness. Although this instant was fleeting, it still left people with an incomparable shock. Was this the snow-walking frost-eye beast's strongest attack? Su Xing did not dare be careless, controlling his flying swords to attack at the same time. Lin Yingmei was still expressionless, hardly fearful as she advanced. Ding! A crisp sound suddenly entered Su Xing's ear, and following this sound, 5 rays of light suddenly flashed and appeared. It was only a moment, and then it slammed the snow-walking frost-eye beast's sword chi and barrier, afterwards ripping each other apart. At the same time, a jade-white hand appeared in the snow-walking frost-eye beast's eyes. That was a beautiful to the extreme palm. Let alone any calluses, not even a single wrinkle was on it. The whiteness seemed to be the most perfect art piece. This palm boomed against the star beast's body. The snow-walking frost-eyed beast simultaneously opened its mouth and sprayed a frost that covered Lin Ying. The figure flung through an arc. The snow-walking frost-eye beast flapped its wings and soared high, indignantly roaring. It shook the mountains as if it was expressing fury. Then it released hail, sleet, cold winds and wildly rising ice waters seemingly to absolutely cover this area. Following a flash of its light wings, in the blink of an eye, the snow-walking frost-eye beast's body then was submerged by the world of ice and snow. Su Xing promptly was about to urge his flying swords forth in pursuit when at this time, he suddenly felt his whole body chill to the bone. It immediately made him tumble down. Then he saw Lin Yingmei was motionless like a sculpture. "Yingmei, are you all right?" Su Xing hastily asked, but the moment the words left his mouth, he was stunned. Lin Yingmei's lips were frozen purple, and her whole body shivered incessantly. Their battle just now was too overwhelming, and the ice and frost the snow-walking frost-eye beast spat at the end immediately swept aside Lin Yingmei's defenses. In such temperatures, it was obvious what her whole body being covered in ice and frost meant. Not good. Su Xing looked at the sky and screamed. Night descended, and the storm was even more fierce, the temperatures suddenly dropping. Legend said that the evil smiting hall's icy region's deepest night extended to the time of morning, and the temperature would plummet to the lowest point and simultaneously scrape up the cold wind and ice. With the two of them having just received the snow-walking frost-eye beast's attack, they needed to find a place to get rid of the frost clinging to them, otherwise, after a long time, this would stick to them like gangrene. Lin Yingmei groaned. Her complexion was somewhat pale. That sort of ice cold that could freeze the soul could not be described. Instantly, she had felt her mind turn blank, muddled. She very much wanted to sleep. Su Xing also was cold all over, frozen that his consciousness was rapidly fading. The astral tools on his person had lost their usefulness, but Su Xing's willpower was very strong. Hugging Lin Yingmei, he made the last of his temperature maintain her consciousness. The temperature suddenly fell, and the wind abruptly stilled, yet this signaled that an even more terrifying blizzard had arrived. Evil smiting hall's chill basically was not something the average star cultivator could endure. They needed to find a place to take shelter. Su Xing scanned to the side, walking towards a cliff face. He raised his hands against the direction of the wind, and the flying swords carved a cave into the mountain. A thunderclap sounded in the cold night. Su Xing carried the girl with 2 hands and sent her into this bunker. Then he immediately activated the fire spirit magic Sarira. Warmth appeared in the cave. "Hurry and take off your clothes," Su Xing hazardly shouted. Lin Yingmei also knew what wet clothes meant under this weather, yet her star energy basically was incapable of use. However, she had only undone a few buttons before she was unable to move. Su Xing saw this and, without the slightest hesitation, ripped apart her outerwear. Instantly, Lin Yingmei's cute bodice was exposed. The girl's skin surpassed snow, and losing the shelter of clothes, her impressive mountains, her smooth belly, her body's fluid curves were all made visible. Even Su Xing was taken aback. However, at this time, Su Xing no longer cared that much. Taking off each other's clothes, their bodies still shivered. At the same time Su Xing took off his own clothes, he brought out a cloak to cover them. 2 completely naked bodies were suddenly hugged each other. Lin Yingmei's cheeks were slightly red, letting out a soft moan. Feeling the slight shivers of Lin Yingmei's body, Su Xing opened his mouth and tenderly spoke. "Wife, don't be too nervous." Lin Yingmei nodded. The two of them were each naked, with only the cloak covering their scene of spring, but the Su Xing currently using the fire spirit magic Sarira to drive away the cold frost on their skins did not care at all the eroticness of the current moment. In his mind, there was only tenderness. Outside, the blizzard covering the skies currently mixed with the chill blustering over 1,000 li, yet the warmth inside the cave nevertheless began to raise bit by bit. The bone-chilling snow and frost very quickly disappeared. Only at this time did Su Xing notice their embarrassing position, but embracing Lin Yingmei's body had a sort of unclear warmth. Su Xing was somewhat reluctant to let go. Lin Yingmei's ears were already somewhat hot, and her breathing became heavy. "Young master," and Lin Yingmei wanted to say something but hesitated. Recalling all sorts of things about the girl, Su Xing's mind grew hot. He whispered, "Yingmei, are you willing to be my first wife or not?" Lin Yingmei softly hummed. His two hands wrapped around the girl's perfect body, and his yang fire immediately ignited and burned. Lin Yingmei felt that hard and stiff feeling between her butt. 3. Her body stiffened and she blushed. "Young master," Lin Yingmei turned her head, the ice-cold and pride in her pupils already replaced by a passionate gleam. Su Xing's heart had a sort of warm current. He gazed at Lin Yingmei, then kissed her all of a sudden. Lin Yingmei froze, her lips somewhat rigid, however, following Su Xing's wanton kissing movements, Lin Yingmei immediately could not help but extend her tongue. Her tongue crossed over. His two hands passed over the protrusions on Lin Yingmei's chest, making Lin Yingmei's pupils show alarm, and her mind exploded. The cloak covering them fell off, revealing two bodies. Su Xing practically instinctively lowered his head and lightly bit a mouthful of her plumpness. 3. "Young master," Lin Yingmei softly moaned, her whole body going limp. Sensing the girl did not reject his proposal, Su Xing's hands tantalized Lin Yingmei. From the moment he began sucking, he uncontrollably sucked her. Sucked by Su Xing like this, the strength in Lin Yingmei's whole body seemed to have been sucked away. She weakly and limply sat down. How could the majestic star still have any dignity? Seeing Su Xing reluctant to part like a child sucking her most sensitive place, Lin Yingmei's eyes suddenly had a kind of motherly glow. The two of them panted, and their gazes looked at each other. Lin Yingmei's eyes seemingly seemed able to passionately leak water. Each of their faces turned completely red. "Are you willing?" Su Xing tenderly said. Lin Yingmei suddenly recalled the words Wu Xinjie once said. It could not be said for certain that sex perhaps could help Su Xing. If it was before, she still would have had some hesitation. This was just like a self-comforting excuse. Lin Yingmei whispered, "Does young master want to?" "I want you." 5. Su Xing licked her back, forcing a smile. "But we'd better forget about capturing a star beast." The girl's body was very soft. "Use that from Chai Ling," Lin Yingmei said. Su Xing was confused. He suddenly remembered Chai Ling's yin-yang lovemaking powder. Seeing Lin Yingmei bite her lip, her pupils retaining passion, his heart was immediately happy. The yin-yang lovemaking powder was brought out. When the two bottles emerged, it made the cave brim with a deep blurriness. "Is this all right?" Opening the yin-yang lovemaking powder, the bottles released the two lights of yin and yang, and then were sucked into their mouths by Su Xing and Lin Yingmei. Immediately, Su Xing felt the yang fire in his whole body wildly burn. Lin Yingmei nodded, and with strength from who knows where, she stuck tightly against Su Xing like an octopus. She had already fixed her determination, and her stiff body began to pander to him. Under the yin-yang lovemaking powder, the two fondled each other very intensely. Lin Yingmei straddled Su Xing's body. She looked at that tall and erect lethal weapon. Lin Yingmei showed slight cowardice. Her hands hung on Su Xing's shoulders, and her supple rear slowly sat down. Along with little Su Xing penetrating deep inside her body, Lin Yingmei's brows tightly locked. Until that sort of hardness entirely entered inside her body, Lin Yingmei felt a strange satisfaction, a sort of unprecedented fullness. 3. Striking into the deepest part of her, the pleasant feeling made Lin Yingmei let out a pained and happy groan. The painful feeling made Lin Yingmei tightly close her legs. In order to not make herself let out any noises, she passionately kissed Su Xing. Su Xing then used one hand to grasp her perfectly round butt, and the other caressed Lin Yingmei's plump chest, stimulating Lin Yingmei into slowly relaxing her legs. Her body could not help but automatically shake itself up and down. The two lights of yin and yang appeared on the two's bodies, wrapping each of them as if they were combining. Inside the cave was displayed a shameful scene. This was passionate to the depths, undoing garments below, lilac darkness passing through before wind and snow, yin and yang intercourse pains the beauty, powerless moans beg her lord for pity. 7. The love between yin and yang was ceaseless. The renowned majestic star Lin Yingmei tactfully pandered to Su Xing's whims. If Wu Xiao was made aware, she definitely would have been angered to death. The second day, the blizzard gradually stopped, and sunlight poured down. Lin Yingmei struggled to open her eyes. Seeing her completely threadbare body being embraced by Su Xing, she recalled her frenzied manner the night before. Lin Yingmei's face turned red. Su Xing opened his eyes and kissed her. Feeling that the man's yang fire had rose again, Lin Yingmei said in a low voice, "Young master, you are fine?" Su Xing checked for a moment. His whole body brimmed with energy, better than last night. "What about you?" What Su Xing worried most was Lin Yingmei. Lin Yingmei shook her head, for there was no harm at all. As expected, the yin-yang lovemaking powder was amazing, not only allowing the two to enjoy a place of unending bliss, that star energy was seemingly even more full, brimming with power. "Young master, we still had better go find the snow-walking frost-eye beast," Lin Yingmei said. Su Xing thought so as well. Last night, they wasted a lot of effort only to drive off the snow-walking frost-eye beast. If someone else took the chance to steal it, that was too unfortunate. Su Xing wiped away his stirring desire. Tenderly, he helped Lin Yingmei put on her bodice, her outer clothes, and made the girl still somewhat stiff. Once again, when they found the injured snow-walking frost-eye beast. This star beast was currently licking its wound. At this time, the weather in the world of ice was good. Sunlight was released, also making the snow-walking frost-eye beast's wings of light appear especially fascinating. "You'd better obediently come along with us." Su Xing opened his mouth and said. The snow-walking frost-eye beast stood its body up, bared its fangs, a frightening posture revealed. Lin Yingmei wasted no time talking, rushing forward with a great stride. The snow-walking frost-eye beast pounced. The girl disappeared from its front, and by the time it reacted, Lin Yingmei already was behind it, once again violently attacking the snow-walking frost-eye beast. Exploding with a white light at the same time, Lin Yingmei flipped backwards to dodge. Her nimble movements allowed her to dodge the snow-walking frost-eye beast's attack. Having passed through the first-time experience of last night, Lin Yingmei appeared even better than before. Her brows were full of a heroism that made people submit to her. The snow-walking frost-eye beast was confused, and then it roared afterwards. Lin Yingmei's body stopped in midair for an instant. Then she drew a perfect arc, seemingly as if she was capable of flying, and she directly drew close to the snow-walking frost-eye beast again. Expertly attacking, although the snow-walking frost-eye beast did not have efficacy, that did not mean it had no weaknesses. Lin Yingmei's whole body in midair was like a bolt of white lightning. Perhaps using the word thunderbolt to describe her was more apt, a thunderbolt with the intimidation of 10,000 caddies, and Lin Yingmei's figure already was completely unclear. There was only a wildly whirling tornado in the air rolling about, slashing violently at the snow-walking frost-eye beast's figure. That terrifying scene was practically indescribable. It was in line with that berserk intimidating air of Lin Yingmei's. That instant described as the might of a thunderbolt could also be described as terrifying. It basically did not know what movements Lin Yingmei did, but that shocking imposing aura was just like a python in the air, fiercely biting down on the snow-walking frost-eye beast's knees. Its figure surprisingly gave rise to a sort of vivid feeling of being ripped apart. Visible to the naked eye, the snow-walking frost-eye beast's silhouette was chewed on under the python Lin Yingmei formed, currently rapidly having a big hole chewed out of it. An ear-splitting chafing and ripping noise echoed through the sky. Even a body like the snow-walking frost-eye beast apparently felt bitter pain. It opened its mouth wide and released a sharp scream. The painful result was immediate. Freezing frost of 9 provinces. The cold light of the Arctic star serpent spear was released everywhere, becoming 9 blots of spear light. Falling like the moon, they attacked the snow-walking frost-eye beast from 9 directions. The snow-walking frost-eye beast basically had no way to dodge it. The 9 streaks of spear light stuck into its body at the same time. A sky-shaking, earth-rending cry sounded out. The snow-walking frost-eye beast violently vomited ice and frost-cold flames that shook apart Lin Yingmei's close-quarters attack, but immediately afterwards, a giant hand of purple chi grabbed hold of it from the front and squeezed. The snow-walking frost-eye beast's wings of light flapped. The 2 wings layered upon each other, forming an enormous light sword that clashed with the purple cloud great hand. Seizing this chance to abruptly scream out a blizzard, the snow-walking frost-eye beast immediately rose with the wind, escaping high into the skies. How could Su Xing allow it to escape again? If it escaped this time, he feared they would not know until when they would find it again. Although Star General and Star Beasts had reactions, these Ice and Snow World Star Beasts honestly were too many. If it actually hid, it would truly be finding a needle in a haystack. Su Xing urged the fire beacon chariot into pursuit. Lin Yingmei leapt with a graceful posture, lightly and nimbly landing onto a flying sword. Chasing for approximately several thousand meters, the snow-walking frost-eye beast abruptly dove down into a ice and snow-covered valley. When Su Xing saw that boundless white forest, he cursed. He basically could not see the slightest bit of the snow-walking frost-eye beast's silhouette. Su Xing released his divine intent to scan, and Lin Yingmei stared at the range of several dozen li for the slightest movement. With the snow-walking frost-eye beast's build and those illusionary wings, to hide right before their eyes and slip away basically was an impossible thing. As expected, in the middle of the valley was a cave. The snow-walking frost-eye beast clearly hid inside the cave. But that cave emitted an ice-cold air that was even colder than the ice and snow they encountered the previous night. That cave mouth was like a gaping maw continuously swallowing and spitting up an ice-cold chi that froze their 4 limbs, causing them to be somewhat timid. Just its appearance made people that feel unease. If this was the snow-walking frost-eye beast's den, that honestly was a natural pair. "Let's go in," Su Xing said. "N." Lin Yingmei nodded. Without thinking, they instantly flew into the cave. Immediately, the cold air threw itself into their faces. This sort of cold chi really was not that sort of naturally low temperature. It was more like a sort of ice cold to the bone chill that came from their innermost parts. Su Xing rubbed his hands. The ice-cold airflow froze him into shuddering from head to toe. He raised his head and looked, seeing that icicles were suspended above his head, crisscrossing layer upon layer. Furthermore, this cave interior also had countless forks. They completely did not know where they should have looked. The places the snow-walking frost-eye beast flew past nevertheless left a clear trail. This ice cave was just like an enormous maze. Su Xing followed the trail the snow-walking frost-eye beast left as it went about. It was worthy of being called a peak star beast, for its intelligence was considerably high. If it was a normal star cultivator, they honestly would never catch it. As the path grew wider and wider, the temperature turned colder and colder. Su Xing only felt that his teeth were beginning to chatter. "Young master, are you all right?" Lin Yingmei saw Su Xing was not too well off, knitting her brows and asking. Su Xing shook his head. "Shall we give up on the snow-walking frost-eye beast?" Lin Yingmei could also tell that this beast was not too easy to capture. The most main point was that the snow-walking frost-eye beast was too astute. It could not defeat them, so it hid. If this continued, they definitely could capture it, but they would squander a lot of time. To the current Su Xing, this was extremely unfavorable. Lin Yingmei already had the idea to withdraw. "If I can't give my first wife a good star beast, wouldn't that be too embarrassing?" Su Xing patted Lin Yingmei's shoulder and smiled. Lin Yingmei knew Su Xing's personality, and she did not say anything more. A while later, the pair finally found the snow-walking frost-eye beast. But without waiting for Su Xing and Lin Yingmei to coordinate, the snow-walking frost-eye beasts flashed with an ominous glint. Suddenly, it released a tremendous to the extreme ice-cold air from head to foot. Afterwards, it opened its mouth towards the two of them. The might of the light wings seemed to concentrate in its mouth. There was a muffled bang. Su Xing and Lin Yingmei both froze. They then heard a rumbling sound reverberate from the entire ice cave. The ice cave's icicles immediately fell, the kilotons of heavy objects booming down as they pressed down upon the pair. A cold light flashed through Su Xing's eyes. His fingers flicked, and a giant purple cloud suddenly formed and slowly raised this mountain up into a stall. Lin Yingmei strode forward, swiftly rushing forth, her long spear speedily hacking out flash that was quick as lightning. The snow-walking frost-eye beast angrily bellowed. Its two wings flapped, and its figure was instantly right upon Lin Yingmei's front, disappearing without a trace from where it was. But in the next instant, the snow-walking frost-eye beast nevertheless unexpectedly appeared once again beside Su Xing. It wanted to kill Su Xing first. Without even looking, Su Xing's great expanse of thunderlight violently struck at it. This moment aroused the snow-walking frost-eye beast's fearful nature. Its eyes opened wide, and its wings suddenly waved. Instantly, countless light rays shot out from its wings, just perfectly slamming into the purple mansion immortal thunder. Let's see where you run to this time. Su Xing formed hand seals. The flying swords simultaneously buzzed. Green shadows formed layers, and every flying sword instantly became a wide area of green light that rolled towards the snow-walking frost-eye beast. Having received the two techniques of Lin Yingmei, Long Blizzard Nights, and Freezing Frost of 9 provinces, that the snow-walking frost-eye beast could resist up until now was thanks to this extremely cold environment, but it was an arrow at the end of its path. Now, Su Xing's flying swords attacked and could barely contain it. Nevertheless, it was unable to struggle in the slightest. Lin Yingmei flashed forth. The Arctic Star Serpent Spear suddenly twinkled with cold light, attacking the snow-walking frost-eye beast into retreat little by little. Beast, still you do not swear allegiance. Lin Yingmei coldly shouted, breaking ice and slicing snow. Her spear thrust in. The snow-walking frost-eye beast howled, its fangs finally retracting. Its 4 limbs crept along the ground, completely showing a submissive posture. When Su Xing saw, he could not help but smile. Lin Yingmei took out the evil smiting writ. The snow-walking frost-eye beast's white forehead flashed a star crest, and its whole body flashed with a glittering blue light. Finally, it was captured. Su Xing heaved a great sigh. Young master, let us leave. Lin Yingmei walked to Su Xing's front, speaking calmly. Leave now. Su Xing saw that the snow-walking frost-eye beast had been beaten black and blue. It was captured, but perhaps not a single cultivator could defeat it. Evil Smiting Hall's rules were that after a star general captured a star beast, she had 24 hours to remain inside Evil Smiting Hall, and these 24 hours were in order to deal with such a situation occurring, making use of the Evil Smiting Hall's characteristics to give these star beasts of friendship after conflict, to nurture them back to their best state. Lin Yingmei's brows wrinkled. Su Xing knew that the girl wanted to say something. Don't worry about the meditative mind lotus seed, just listen to me. First nurture the star beast and then we'll go. Facing Su Xing's clinging expression, Lin Mei obviously was incapable of convincing him. She could only silently nod. The snow-walking frost-eye beast's best cultivation location was these extreme cold ice caves, but as far as Su Xing and Lin Yingmei were concerned, it certainly was not that wonderful. While the snow-walking frost-eye beast was still breathing in and out the dark ice of the ice cave as much as it liked, Su Xing then felt more and more cold. However, for the sake of Lin Yingmei's star beast, he could endure this bit of hardship. When Lin Yingmei saw this, she walked to Su Xing's side without leaving a trace, clasping Su Xing's hand. The warmth in her palm made Su Xing's chills abate. The first wife still is great. Su Xing laughed aloud. Lin Yingmei harumphed, declining to comment. The snow-walking frost-eye beast rose, suddenly turning its head towards Su Xing to shout a few times. Lin Yingmei's eyelids jumped, and she said, "Young master, Tishuang says it wants to take us to a place. That place is very warm." Tishuang. Su Xing smiled. "Yingmei, you've chosen a name for the snow-walking frost-eye beast?" N. Lin Yingmei nodded. "Let's go take a look." Su Xing did not let release his hand as he followed the snow-walking frost-eye beast a distance. Finally, they passed through this ice cave, arriving at an even bigger cave. This cave was unexpectedly big, and in the middle was an ice lake. What was surprising was that this ice lake did not freeze under an environment with such low temperatures. The rivers slowly flowed, and looking from far away, this ice lake was just like starry sky fitted with azure stars, twinkling with a blue starlight. This water is not too frigid. Testing the water temperature, Lin Yingmei turned her head back and said to Su Xing, "Really?" Su Xing walked over and stroked the water. As expected, the temperature was pleasant. Compared to that extreme cold temperature of the ice cave, this lake water truly was warm. Su Xing chuckled. "Yingmei, shall we take a married couple's bath together?" Lin Yingmei stiffened, somewhat not reacting. "We're husband and wife now, don't be shy." Su Xing allowed no refusal as he pulled Lin Yingmei over. Under Lin Yingmei's hesitation, Su Xing shouted at that far-off crying frost, "You go outside and properly stand guard. Don't let anyone disturb us." Crying frost growled, then walked out of the cave. The heat of Lin Yingmei's that place went through to Su Xing's cheeks. Moreover, the relationship between the two last night was just like it had reached the peak, and being shy was not Lin Yingmei's style. Lin Yingmei snorted, her cheeks slightly red. She turned her back to Su Xing and undressed. A sweet, fair, graceful, incapable of being described with even countless words naked body was exposed in front of Su Xing. Her supple and smooth skin was even softer than snow, even whiter than snow, even more crystalline than ice. "Yingmei, let hubby see if you have any injuries." Su Xing craftily clasped Lin Yingmei's hand and made the girl spin around. When he saw that strap come undone, her fine, long hairs were just like ribbons that fell onto her shoulders, making Lin Yingmei appear to have a whole other charming taste. "Young master." Lin Yingmei stared at those amorous eyes. She appeared to still have not let go. The charm of that position where she covered her chest with her hands need not be mentioned. "Call me hubby." Su Xing hugged Lin Yingmei against his chest. The girl's body then lost any resistance. "What is hubby?" Lin Yingmei asked. "It's Lord Husband." Su Xing smiled. The lake water was warm, and that chill on their bodies then greatly alleviated. Now, by the time the couple's bodies were tightly embracing, they only felt their whole bodies burn. Lin Yingmei clearly cherished very much these days inside Evil Smiting Hall when she could be with Su Xing in such close contact alone. After leaving Evil Smiting Hall, with that many sisters in close contact, to have the girl do such a bold activity was something undoubtedly more difficult than ascending the heavens. Su Xing knew this point, as did Lin Yingmei. Here and now, this was just the perfect chance for Lin Yingmei to let out her feelings. Their lips kissed passionately. Without needing a moment, Lin Yingmei's hands very quickly embraced Su Xing's neck while Su Xing kissed every place on Lin Yingmei's body that captivated him. The girl restrained her moans. Very quickly, she spread open her slender legs and tightly clamped them around Su Xing's waist. Along with Su Xing propping up the girl's supple butt, the two of them once again joined into a union. The lake water crashed around from being stirred, from shallow waves to intense tsunamis. At last, they turned the heavens and earth, and that spotlessly white world of ice and snow seemingly caught a bashful pink. Ice and snow bloomed, witnessing this scene overflowing with love. At the border of Evil Smiting Hall's extreme ice region was an environment completely the opposite, a volcanic zone. There on the mountain, it continuously rumbled. A snow-white leopard-spotted horse with its 4 hooves treading flames currently galloped. This star beast was known as the Raging Inferno Snow Leopard Horse. In the Evil Smiting Hall, this was a star beast mount that was hard to come by. The body of the woman sitting on top of the horse wore a dull palace dress, incomparably gorgeous. In front of the horse, two girls currently were on riding swords fleeing. It was just that the speed of this horse treading on flames was not the least bit inferior compared to flying swords. High up in the sky, 1,000 meters in one step, it steadily chased the girls. "Little sister, where do you think you are running to?" The woman playfully laughed, and the raging inferno snow leopard horse's woman was none other than the ranked 19th flight star impatient vanguard Suochao. "Stay behind," another cold voice asserted. A beautifully robed man dropped from the sky to intercept in front of the two girls. He wore a purple jade cap and a purple dragon black belt. Without a doubt, he was the star master of the impatient vanguard Suochao, Zhao Heng. A sneering expression hung upon Zhao Heng's mouth. More than 30 clinging fire flying swords were suspended in his surroundings. The two girls helplessly stopped. The two of them appeared quite dazzling as well, and one of them was an unruly young lady whose red eyes loosed fire, as if they were ablaze. If Su Xing was present, he definitely would be greatly astonished because these were not just anyone. They were the flame princess Tooba Yen and fiery-eyed Swananai whole-star Deng Rongxi that had pledged the Nether River blood oath with him before. Deng Rongxin's eyes were like a lion's, brimming with an aggressive and angry intent. Elder sister is quite formidable to have obtained the raging inferno snow leopard horse. There is no need to make things difficult for little sister. It would be better to wait for little sister to capture the wildfire Swananai, too, and then determine who is higher and lower. The impatient vanguard Suochingshuang smiled. "Little sister, that is quite the joke. Just relying on you too, you want to capture the wildfire Swananai truly is courting death. You might as well allow elder sister to send you on a journey. Are you heavenly stars not supposed to wait until you are complete star generals in order to be victors?" Tuoba Yen shouted, her true fire-flying swords imposing air not any more weaker than Zhao Heng's clinging fire-flying sword. Zhao Heng smiled. "You earthly stars are supposed to be used as cannon fodder. Star fall earlier, star fall later, what difference is there? This palace advises you two had better obediently wait with your hands tied, so as to avoid dying painfully. It seems Rongxin has seen elder sister wrongly." Deng Rongxin grit her teeth. The enraged heavenly starfire hammer in her hands spouted flames, transforming into a lion shape, showing the anger of one involved. Suochingshuang hung a disdainful smile. "Your Highness, allow your servant alone to personally handle these two little sisters." "As you like." Zhao Heng nodded, folding his arms to watch. Suochingshuang obtained the star beast raging inferno snow leopard horse and became a complete star general. She just happened to want to use this chance to steal her cooperation with her star beast. Add on to encountering these two, how could Suochingshuang let this go? The impatient vanguard itched to get started. She laughed, and then the raging inferno snow leopard horse raised its hooves, bursting forth for the two girls. Deng Rongxin released the enraged heavenly starfire hammer, and the starfire hammer whooshed over, becoming a large swathe of starfire. This fire was like a blooming flower, enveloping Suochingshuang in layer after layer. This was her yellow rank technique, Swananai Heaven Roaring Flame. Tube Yen also was not idle, her true fire-flying swords moving forth to attack. The flight star impatient vanguard Suochao lightly smiled, straddling the raging inferno snow leopard horse that charged violently. Sitting upon the star beast, the four hooves slid with raging fire, dodging the flying swords. The Swananai Heaven Roaring Flame was extinguished by this other starfire, and it easily broke through the attacks of the two. The raging inferno snow leopard horse instantly arrived in front of the two. Suochingshuang did not take out her own star weapon either. Rather, she directed the raging fire snow leopard horse's attacks. The horse hooves stomped, shaking Tooba Yen and Deng Rongxin into spitting blood, forcing them back several steps. The eyes of the fiery-eyed Swananai turned red. She pounced up like a lion, one hand continuously waving the starfire hammer, the other gripped in a claw. She made ripping streaks of light, and this was the fire and eye ripping. Suochingshuang pulled. The raging fire snow leopard horse immediately evaded. How could she have anticipated that the fiery-eyed swan and I would jump up, with another fire and I grasping at the flight star? The impatient vanguard was slightly stunned, yet she was actually still calm. The raging inferno snow leopard quickly retreated, dodging once more. "Little sister, not bad?" Suo Chingshuang said sweetly. The raging inferno snow leopard horse whinnied, all of a sudden spitting out an odd flame that was a mix of fire and ice. It broke apart the two sides and attacked Deng Rongxin and Tuoba Yen. Her flying swords obstructed this odd fire. Tuoba Yen shouted, suddenly leaping with fiery-eyed swan-and-eye Deng Rongxin, both simultaneously pouncing towards Suo Chingshuang with extreme tacit understanding. Let alone that the martial force of the flight star not using her destined star weapon was profound. If she only wanted to rely on a star beast to defeat a star general, that would not be so easy. Suo Chingshuang slightly smiled. On hand made a clawing motion, as if she was already waiting for the pleasant surprise of her targets jumping up. Just at this moment, suddenly, Tuoba Yen and Deng Rongxin both suddenly changed direction, aiming at the motionless Zhao Heng on the sidelines. Compared to killing a star general, killing the star master clearly was much simpler. Deng Rongxin angrily shouted, her intimidating aura frightening like a lion's. The enraged heavenly starfire hammer raised a furious burning sound, suddenly flaring without warning like starfire, all of a sudden burning 1,000 Li dark rank technique. Wildfire prairie fire. 3. Tuoba Yen also was not inferior in any respect, one palm moving with a flourish. Beside controlling her flying swords to face Zhao Heng's flying swords, her other palm concentrated the power of fire energy. This was the fourth palm she originally learned from the Conflagration Sky 9 chapters. A suffocating flame pounced forth. It greatly had a sort of conflagration sky earth destroying tyrannical power. Zhao Heng was expressionless. His mocking tone did not diminish in the slightest. To be able to reach the third phase, all Star Master naturally knew what roles they played in the star duels. It was for this reason that he was not neglectful at this moment. The so-called sneak attack under their noses basically lacked any meaning. If it was a move like before when Tuoba Yen and Deng Rongxin attacked together, then perhaps it would have made Zhao Heng somewhat more careful. But ever since the Purple Thunder monster took the limelight, breaking the star duel's balance, Father Emperor specially gifted him a powerful heavenly spirit astral treasure, and those in the sects were even more generous to him, even giving him a practically sect-guarding heavenly spirit astral treasure. 10,000 fires star-breaking writ. A firefly's light dares be impudent. Zhao Heng laughed derisively. He had already been on guard. A token protected from the top of his head, and a clump of essence fire flowed out, like a continuous stream of water without end. The flames became an odd beast of flame that opened its mouth wide to swallow them. Unexpectedly, it slammed against Deng Rongxin's dark rank special move and Tuoba Yen. A blaze and gale filled the skies, leaving the area barren. But even if the fiery-eyed swan and I was an earthly star, a dark rank move was not easy to look down on. Although the 10,000 fires star-breaking writ protected Zhao Heng, even automatically returning to its master, the power the starfire hammer shook out still made Zhao Heng's stomach stuffy. He nearly vomited blood. The great Liang's second crown prince had met with this humiliation, and his face was slightly unsightly. In contrast, Tuoba Yen and Deng Rongxin were in a difficult situation. Caught in a pincer attack between Zhao Heng and Suo Chingshuang, they were already powerless to reverse such dire circumstances. "Master, quickly come save me." Tuoba Yen at this time saw she had no hope and shouted, "Cry your throat apart, no one will come save you." Suo Chingshuang laughed, actually not that worried to attack murderously. The Star Master in front of her was incapable of leaving Evil Smiting Hall anyways. She could be played with in the palm of her hand. Truly laughable. This place is Evil Smiting Hall. Would your master have something or the capabilities to enter here? Zhao Heng sneered. Although Tuoba Yen knew this was indeed true, she held on to a strand of hope she had in her. "Chingshuang, do it." Zhao Heng calmly hinted. They did not have much time either. Suo Chingshuang nodded. The raging inferno snow leopard horse stamped its 4 hooves, emitting a cruel chi. Next, little sister, just let this palace test how to quickly cut you down. Suo Shuang brought out the 100,000 dragons flame axe. One look showed it was a 3-star destined weapon, and Tuoba Yen was even more despairing. The flight star impatient vanguard Suo Chao did not say much, rapidly urging the horse to charge forth. The 100,000 dragons flame axe aimed at Deng Rongxin. With this strike, the two absolutely had no chance to return alive. There was a stifling wind, a hoarse whinny, and a chilly killing intent all mixed together to cover them from the front. Just when Tuoba Yen and Deng Rongxin were close to despair, there suddenly was a cold light that threaded together, fast as lightning. With power like a heavy thunderclap, there was a clang. An extreme cold restrained the extreme heat. Suo Shuang was greatly astonished, the raging inferno snow leopard horse unexpectedly retreating several dozen steps. Suo Shuang showed astonishment. Raising her head to look, she saw a cold and detached girl riding atop a beast of white frost had appeared between her and the fiery-eyed swan. Between her apathetic brows was slight charming. Suo Shuang thought she was in an illusion. When she saw her counterpart raise that long spear, she immediately lost her voice. Lin Chong. The newcomer was not just anyone. She was majestic star panther head Lin Mei. Hasn't it been a long time since we last met? Another mocking voice came down from above. Su Xing floated baselessly in the sky. Slowly descending, his expression looked at Zhao Heng and Suo Shuang with endless thoughtfulness. Lin Chong. Tuoba Yen and Deng Rongxin were completely shocked, not understanding the situation in front of them. They never expected there actually would be someone descending like a divine soldier to avert this calamity. Even more unanticipated was that was Panther Head Lin Chong. Zhao Heng's relaxed expression immediately froze. His body stretched taut, the 10,000 fire star breaking writ and the 33 clinging fire flying swords waited idle at full charge. Truly interesting. Unexpectedly, provoking Lin Chong to descend. Suo Shuang still smiled as before, comforting the clinging fire snow leopard horse. Ice-cold rays of light flashed inside her eyes. Seeing Lin Chong straddle that snow-walking frost-eye beast was even more chilly. The snow-walking frost-eye beast, amazing, truly in the nick of time. Su Xing laughed aloud. He glanced at the Tuoba Yen and Deng Rongxin who had not lowered their hostility. To say of it, he indeed was very timely. Just as Su Xing and Lin Mei were having intimate intercourse, he suddenly sensed that the Nether River blood oath flared up, and he heard Tuoba Yan's plea. Therefore, Su Xing could not possibly watch them die and not save them, to ignore them. Following the path, he found them, fortunately very quickly spotting the scene of Suo Shuang wielding the long axe about to slay Deng Rongxin. Su Xing as usual flipped out the birth treasure outline. The so-called, know yourself, know your enemy, let alone that he was truly brimming with curiosity towards these star maidens. Star position, flight star name, Suo Chao nickname, impatient vanguard true name, Suo Shuang rank, 19th star weapon, 100,000 dragons flame axe, 3-star, star beast, raging inferno snow leopard horse realm, 10,000 techniques 8th stage innate skill, forward charge 5 elements. Fire Yellow rank special move, 100,000 Fire Dragons rapid kill dark rank special move, Mountains and Rivers shattering 6 current status, Contractor/Zhao Heng detailed. Materials. Seeing that glittering birth treasure outline, regardless of whether it was Zhao Heng or Tuoba Yen, the expressions of everyone changed. Does elder sister Lin Chong also want to mind this palace's idle affairs? Impatient vanguard Suo Shuang smiled. Just let your servant accompany you. Lin Mei's face was expressionless, clenching the Arctic star serpent spear with one hand. Suo Shuang's axe just now was extremely violent, breaking the wind concealing divine stone's screen with a single chop. The power of the impatient vanguard was not easily looked down on. This palace just happens to have this idea. Suo Shuang gave a crooked grin. Suo Shuang spurred the raging inferno snow leopard horse, taking up the 100,000 dragon flame axe and plunging forth. The flames of the raging inferno snow leopard horse's hooves swelled, becoming a dragon-like being bearing its fangs and claws in the surroundings. At the same time, the 100,000 dragon flame axe's firelight curled up, its chief flame fierce. Lin Yingmei's eyes were like ice, tranquil as water. The snow-walking frost-eye beast roared, first spitting out a ray of hoar frost covering the skies and immediately flew forth quickly. Two top-notch heavenly star generals each clenched a polearm, slashing at one another. Interlocking with each other, they only heard clangs. Cold light flit around, flames suddenly breaking out. The corner of Suo Qingshuang's lips hung a smile, the strength of single hand clutching the 100,000 dragon flame axe no longer able to contend. Even if she had additional pressure with the raging inferno snow leopard horse, the snow-walking frost-eye beast that Lin Yingmei straddled clearly was at an even greater level. It could be said the impatient vanguard completely lacked the advantage. Suo Qingshuang's wrist sunk, feeling the Arctic star serpent spear's pressure. Her two hands clenched tight, and shouting furiously, she hefted the long axe and swept horizontally. Lin Yingmei single-handedly swung her spear, directly intercepting Suo Qingshuang's attack. Raging Inferno advance! Suo Qingshuang's thighs squeezed, and the raging Inferno snow leopard horse was as if it had received a divine decree, suddenly spraying out a raging Inferno ice snow blizzard that enveloped Lin Yingmei. The snow-walking frost-eye beast's wings of light unfurled, blue light twinkled, and they became sword lights that directly slashed downwards. Suo Qingshuang was greatly startled, spurring the horse into a narrow escape. But the snow-walking frost-eye beast's mouth roared with a cold wind, forcing the raging inferno snow leopard horse into retreating several dozen steps. A good trick. Suo Qingshuang took in a deep breath, her smiling expression vanishing. Lin Yingmei did not say a word. The snow-walking frost-eye beast immediately attacked forth. How could Suo Qingshuang ever admit defeat? She simultaneously advanced as well. Both sides simultaneously crossed polearms in several dozen exchanges, the star beasts they mounted also each using their abilities back and forth. Ice and frost and blazes emerging in succession, reflecting each other. On the other side, Su Xing did not leisurely watch the battle. He controlled the 12 Langya to go attack Zhao Heng. Zhao Heng's 33 clinging fire swords became a fire rainbow that rose from the heavens. After whirling around at high altitudes, its firelight was greatly unleashed, instantly swelling madly. In the blink of an eye, a 5 or 6 zhang long giant golden sword took form. Zhao Heng's 10,000 fire star-breaking writ also was formidable. Firelight flowing over his whole body formed a light screen. That surging flame was just like a fierce beast that could counterattack. Instantly, Su Xing also had no way to take him out. Sword array rise. Zhao Heng had met with the legendary Purple Thunder Monster, not daring to underestimate him. Immediately he used a flying sword array. The 33 flying swords transformed into a bolt of flame that continuously pierced toward Su Xing, and Su Xing controlled Langya to tear it down. Zhao Heng was nearly mad with fury. Seeing those 12 jadeite flying swords of Su Xing's, he was practically incomparably envious. His underworld heavenly clinging fire swords all were forged from expensive materials, spending several billion for each one. Only a crown prince highness of the great Liang dynasty like himself had the qualifications. Across all of the Azure Dragon territory, he was considered first-rate, but what was hard to imagine was that 33 unstoppable flying swords like these would each be trapped by those green flying swords, completely incapable of slamming them open. Honestly, this was inconceivable. And seeing the green light of those flying swords hover about, the jadeite glistening, it seemed to not be simple. This Purple Thunder Monster had issues, as expected. It was a pity he could not use that prehistoric spirit treasure, 7 Feathers Karma Fire Fan, otherwise he definitely could dispatch these flying swords. Zhao Heng was inwardly resentful, thinking that this Purple Thunder Monster also had a miraculous Bodhi tree that was defiant of the natural order. Zhao Heng quickly turned lucky again. Suddenly, Zhao Heng's eyes flashed with an essence light. His fingers flicked, and the earthly fiend-grade astral treasure, flying star shuttle, zoomed out, becoming a seven-colored starlight that struck toward Su Xing. When Zhao Heng flicked out the flying star shuttle, Su Xing had already known. His fingers all flicked at the same time, and two purple thunder dragon capture burst out and captured the flying star shuttle, but this earthly fiend astral treasure honestly was not easy to handle, only being blocked for several breaths. Promptly, it struggled free of the purple thunder. However, at this time, when he wanted to attack Su Xing again, he basically was unable to. While Su Xing and Zhao Heng were having a great battle, the others involved, Deng Rongxin and Tuoba Yen, both were somewhat flabbergasted. Tuoba Yen absolutely did not expect such a scene would occur, even calling forth the purple thunder monster. Seeing them fight a war, Tuoba Yen also was hesitant for a time. The fiery-eyed swan-eyed Deng Rongxin stared at Suo Qingxuang and Gan shed her teeth, itching to rip this elder sister to shreds, but the battle between two star beasts and star generals basically did not give her any chance to interfere. Then, the violently enraged lion again directed its furious gaze at Zhao Heng. "Rongxin, we are leaving first." Tuoba Yen thought carefully over and over again. In the end, she surreptitiously used sound transmission, not daring to stop in this place. Deng Rongxin was stunned, somewhat displeased, but she also understood Tuoba Yan's decision. As they were now, the two of them had not come into Evil Smiting Hall for 3 days. According to the rules, they had no way of leaving, which meant that encountering danger could only mean resigning themselves to fate. If this purple thunder monster and Zhao Heng were the same kind, it was hard to say where or not they would turn to kill them after finishing. After all, the third phase Evil Smiting Hall was when starfalls were seen too often. Especially this purple thunder monster who was the Azure Dragon Territory's monster. It was obvious to Tuoba Yen that she absolutely could not face this danger. Tuoba Yen released Flying Sword's light to first obstruct Zhao Heng's flying star shuttle. Immediately afterwards, her riding sword quickly flew towards the east to leave, not minding the fight between these two. Suo Qingxuang saw out of the corner of her eye the escaping Tuoba Yen, yet she did not make any expressions. Being suppressed by every single move of Lin Yingmei's swift and fierce spearmanship, how could the flight star still be distracted? She saw the fighting strength of her mount grow more and more feeble. The impatient vanguard also was rushed. A spearlight suddenly stabbed, and Suo Chao was caught off guard. The Arctic Star Serpent Spear stabbed into the Raging Inferno Snow Leopard Horse. The Snow-Walking Frost-Eye Beast clawed at the same time. The Raging Inferno Snow Leopard Horse howled. Suo Qingxuang urgently retreated, immediately afterwards leaping off the mount and retrieving the Star Beast. If it was to die like this, then the flight star would truly have the thought to die. Sensing Lin Yingmei had already reached the Matchless Realm, her own 10,000 Techniques realm basically could not get a leg over the majestic star. Suo Qingxuang suddenly yelled, "Lin Chong!" Gripping the 100,000 Dragon's flame axe with both hands, she slashed down. The fire dragon on the axe head all of a sudden appeared, becoming countless fire dragons to devour Lin Ying. This was the 100,000 fire dragon's rapid kill. Fire dragons filled the skies and engulfed the earth. The surroundings were completely a sea of fire. The snow-walking frost-eye beast flapped its wings to fly, the myriad and multitude of fire dragons following close behind. The snow-walking frost-eye beast incessantly fly around in the sky, its light wings firing streams of light that complemented Lin Yingmei's ice-breaking and chilly spearmanship. Not a moment later, more than 100 fire dragon unexpectedly were struck apart by Lin Yingmei blow after blow. Seeing her own certain kill technique completely lack usefulness, the impatient vanguard was angered into gritting her teeth to the point they were about to grind apart. Lin Yingmei somersaulted, leaping off the snow-walking frost-eye beast. Elder sister seems to be somewhat unordinary. Suo Qingxuan smiled. Lin Yingmei ran, stabbing with her spear. A cold light shot out. Suo Qingxuang's smile immediately turned grave, and the 100,000 Dragon's flame axe shook out a fire dragon. The majestic star pressed hard step by step. The second stab after the first completely lacked gaps in follow-up, the third, and the fourth. Suo Qingxuang retreated step by step. Suddenly, Her spear retracted. Before the flight star could even react, Lin Yingmei once again flourished. Her spear light was just like a viper that drilled in from another angle. This time, she stabbed through the impatient vanguard's arm. Suo Qingshuang groaned. Without retreating, she clenched the 100,000 Dragon's flame axe with one hand and slashed down, forcing Lin Yingmei outside of the danger zone around her body. Lin Yingmei retreated several steps, her gaze still cold as ice. Watching the Lin Yingmei completely in an advantageous position, the insides of Suo Qingshuang's eyes were very unreconciled, yet seeing her own master also was being suppressed, she was even more resentful to the extreme. Suo Qingshuang's arms sunk. Her whole body burned with crimson light, and her eyes slightly glowed, the star crest on her forehead twinkling. "Hey!" The flight star, completely without warning, suddenly turned and shot straight toward Su Xing. The impatient vanguard Suo Chao's innate skill was forward charge. Suddenly speeding up in a rush attack, even a top-notch heavenly star marshal general would be far inferior. It was a pity the consequences of successive use of this type of innate skill were greatly harmful, otherwise, Suo Chao becoming a star general that surpassed the 5 tigers would not be impossible. Forward charge activated. The earth rumbled, and a chi flame tyrannically surged to form an enormous oppressive feeling. Lin Yingmei wanted to chase, but she was unable to catch up. The girl strode forward in pursuit, expressionlessly looking at Suo Chao as she went to attack Su Xing. The calm in her eyes demonstrated her absolute confidence. The Su Xing, currently thinking of a way to break open the 10,000 Fires star-breaking writ, sidestepped to dodge the first moment he could. Due to Suo Qingshuang and Lin Yingmei's battle line being pulled too long, even if she wanted to use forward charge to get rid of the famed and astonishing Purple Thunder monster in one strike, the flight star did not hold onto too great a hope. But so long as she could force Su Xing to evade, she could be considered to have achieved her objective. Suo Qingshuang's long axe first slashed down at Su Xing's head, then she thought to continuously slash when it was blocked by heaven-tearing Lin Yingmei at this time had already arrived. "Your Highness, let us leave first." Suo Qingshuang could only give up, and she promptly spoke. Zhao Heng did not dare be overconfident. He chanted an incantation. The evil smiting writ shattered, and he immediately transformed into smoke. "What a pity, what a pity!" Su Xing clucked his tongue. Being unable to make Zhao Heng's starfall honestly was somewhat of a pity. It was basically very difficult to make a star general that could survive since the second phase undergo starfall. Only until after the 4th phase passed, at that time, "You die, I live" truly were the only 2 paths that could be uttered. Su Xing immediately had second thoughts, for he recalled this Zhao Heng seemed to be Zhao Hanyan's little brother. If he truly killed him, he did not know what impressions he would make. "Still, you are amazing." Recalling the first time they originally encountered the flight star impatient vanguard in the purple starbirth outline, a single 100,000 fire dragon's rapid kill attack made Yen Yizhen directly return to the star nest. A 3-star destined weapons might honestly was vivid in their minds. Now, with the 3rd phase, they did not expect that Suo Chao would still be at 3-star, yet Lin Yingmei's star weapon had upgraded to 3-star as well. When the 2 sides had equal star weapons, she basically lacked pressure. It seemed that for a star general to break open the chains of strength, upgrading star weapons was necessary. If only that Tuoba Yen could no longer encounter danger. Su Xing originally wanted to help Tuoba Yen capture a star beast if he had a bit of time. In any case, he was already incomparably familiar from doing this sort of thing the several previous times. Moreover, any way it was put, Tuoba Yen could count as a helping hand in the future with the Nether River Blood Oath. It was a pity the girl was too cautious and left without a word. If Tuoba Yen knew that she had thrown away such a good opportunity without good cause, she probably would definitely be angered to vomiting blood. Lin Yingmei nodded. Still with some time, Su Xing piloted the fire beacon chariot and scanned Evil Smiting Hall with Lin Yingmei to see whether or not they could find Tuoba Yen or discover other star masters with errant ideas or other star generals. It was just that encountering this many already counted as pretty good luck. Continuously up until the time limit was about to expire, Su Xing did not find the figure of a star general, Yet he sensed in the several 10,000 li outside of Evil Smiting Hall there was a vague, spectacular scene. A golden light sword, appearing extraordinary, but Su Xing did not have time to go seek out the truth. "Ime, before we leave Evil Smiting Hall, I still want to do something." Su Xing suddenly turned his head and smiled craftily. Lin Yingmei's face subconsciously reddened. "What are you thinking of? There will be lots of time for that later after we leave Evil Smiting Hall," Su Xing asked curiously. Lin Yingmei hesitated. Su Xing was inwardly helpless, but he did not want to force her. "Wifey, can you call out hubby?" "Lord husband," Lin Yingmei softly shouted, this time without hesitation. Su Xing was carefree and relaxed. The sixth beautiful lady he would help capture her star beast was the ranked 4th leisure star Gong Sun Huang. Rather than say she was a beautiful lady, it was even more appropriate to say she was an exceedingly refined lowly. After Su Xing and Lin Yingmei returned to the Void Immortal's abode, Gong Sun Huang then sat upon Su Xing's shoulder without saying a word, calmly watching everyone comment on Lin Yingmei's snow-walking frost-eye beast. Up until they finished chatting about her star beast, she still was aloof. The Su Xing who set aside a month of time already had a shorter than 10-day period, yet there were still another 3 star beasts to capture. Without wasting too much time, Su Xing and Gong Sun Huang entered Evil Smiting Hall together. Nevertheless, the scene in front of them changed, and they suddenly appeared at one of Evil Smiting Hall's locales, different from the time he and Lin Yingmei emerged in a nasty world of ice and snow. The surroundings were blue skies and vivacious waters. The blue skies seemed washed, 10,000 li of hanging clouds. Seeing the environment was quiet and secluded, the gentle winds and soft clouds gave one a picturesque painting, but Su Xing did not dare relax because Gong Sun Huang's star beast was considered the most difficult to capture of the star maidens. The leisure star dragon in the clouds Gong Sun Xing's star beast was known as a storm dragon type. This type of star beast was even more difficult compared to the snow-walking frost-eye beast. Known as the Star General #1 in magic energy, it was obvious how ferocious it was. Gong Sun Huang's star beast only appeared inside the clouds. Su Xing positioned the fire beacon chariot among the clouds and searched. Gong Sun Huang quietly sat on his shoulder, just like a cute doll. Su Xing helping the previous 5 beauties capture their star beasts was not a great tenderness between lovers, but when it came to Gong Sun Huang, this was actually an awkward silence. The dragon in the clouds leisure star disliked speaking, keeping silent. Su Xing was somewhat not too used to such an awkward atmosphere. He thought of raising a conversation to pull the relationship between the two of them closer, to change the atmosphere. As he searched, he made considerations. "Little Huang, don't you want to say anything to me?" Su Xing fake coughed, sternly asking. Gong Sun Huang shook her head. "Why did you save me before?" When Su Xing saw that Gong Sun Huang did not speak, he could only start the conversation himself first. To be frank, among the 7 beauties, the bewilderment that the ranked 4th leisure star in front of him gave was the greatest. She made him the most confused because regardless of the degree of familiarity between them, the way they signed a contract also had its reasons. The other girls did not require twists and turns, yet Gong Sun Huang was much too silent. Up to now, everything that came was seemingly very unreal. And what made Su Xing the most perplexed was that there were 2 times that Gong Sun Huang acted. No reason. Gong Sun Huang opened her mouth and softly said, "Is it not easy to answer?" Su Xing smiled. Gong Sun Huang seemed to be pondering. Her round eyes rolled about. "Is it important to your highness?" "Your highness?" Su Xing was made somewhat embarrassed by Gong Sun Huang's form of address. Very important. The corner of Gong Sun Huang's mouth slightly rose, revealing a very faint sort of smile, making Su Xing feel somewhat stunned. In the blink of an eye, the girl had again restored her expressionless face, gazing at the faraway horizon, absolutely silent. When Su Xing saw she did not talk, he sighed. Whether or not this sigh was the cause, he heard Gong Sun Huang's voice that was thinner than a cicada's wing say, "This Huang found you twice fighting for the little sisters. The little girl's counter-question made Su Xing stunned. Why? Su Xing looked at Gong Sun Huang's twinkling pupils, unable to reply for a moment. There is no so-called why, right? In Su Xing's perspective, this was like something not worth concern over. If a swindler came to his door, then he would greet them with fist and foot. If a friend came, then he would send fine wine. If an enemy came, then he would send a shotgun. Su Xing still knew this bit of logic. As far as fighting battles for the Star Maidens, that was only natural. Su Xing actually did not expect just these 2 points would make Gong Sun Huang take these to heart. Gong Sun Huang hummed, her gaze once again returning to the sky. It seemed Su Xing's reply made her very satisfied. Su Xing understood, and he could not help but laugh. Little Huang, you honestly are somewhat extraordinary. Seeing that the atmosphere was finally not as stiff as before, Su Xing again recalled something, right? I heard Xinjie say you once personally sought out Gong Kaiwei to sign a contract, is that so? Gong Sun Huang nodded. Why did she refuse you? Su Xing felt very confused about this point. It was rare for the Star General No. 1 in magic energy to personally search for a Star Master, and it was even rarer that the counterpart would unexpectedly decline, which was honestly unbelievable. She could not contract me, Gong Sun Huang said. Why? Su Xing asked in astonishment. She said that if she contracted me, others would bring us trouble. Gong Sun Huang tilted her neck, remembering as she replied. Su Xing somewhat understood. In the current star duels, each and every one of the Azure Dragon territories' sects had a mysterious and inexorable balance between them. If Gong Kaiwei were to contract the Star General No. 1 in magic energy, then that would inevitably destroy this equilibrium, and they would suffer the envy and pursuit of others. The 10 great sects, the Great Liang Dynasty, which of these would Gong Kaiwei not be able to handle alone? Recalling in his memory that young woman whose clothes surpassed snow, the impression Su Xing had of Gong Kaiwei again had new changes. To be able to so resolutely give this up, this courage was amazing. However, for Gong Kaiwei to still be able to contract the resourceful strategist Zhu Wu No. 1 in magic circles was not shabby. Was it a very big shock to you, little Huang? To unexpectedly be rejected? Su Xing asked. Gong Sun Huang shook her head. She turned her gaze to look at Su Xing, that pair of eyes darker than ink, thicker than the starry skies seemed to say, to be able to sign a contract with your highness has made little Huang extremely happy. Which made Su Xing feel as if his chest was blocked by something. Happy and astonished, this was somewhat complex. Inside the Void Immortals abode all of the girls surrounded Lin Mei, seeking the long and short of the things that occurred inside Evil Smiting Hall. Sister Ing, which sister did you encounter this time? Was it elder sister Jade Qilin? The snow-walking frost-eye beast? To capture this beast was not simple, correct? Elder sister Ing Mei appears as if something is a bit different. It feels she is more beautiful than before? Shi Yuan and the other girls were abuzz as they chatted incessantly. To be able to be with Su Xing alone and intimately inside Evil Smiting Hall was an opportunity bestowed by heaven. The story between the first wife and Su Xing naturally tugged at their hearts. Even Wu Xiao somewhat curiously gathered round. Lin Yingmei was expressionless, her reply very concise. Only when they mentioned that she was somewhat different did her face slightly turn red. Wu Xiao's eyes narrowed, and she coldly said, Su Xing has not done anything to you, has he? Xiao, you are too worried. Lin Yingmei calmly answered. Exactly, young lord loves Yingmei so dearly. Wu Xinjie tenderly smiled. Wu Xiao's brows rose. Yet it was the faraway Chai Ling who silently smirked. Right now, Su Xing has gone to Evil Smiting Hall with little Huang. Who knows what will happen? Shi Yuan at this time said nervously. Everyone knew the difficulty of settling the star beast of the leisure star No. 1 in magic energy. Right, is there still time? Suwen wonders how Big Brother's meditative mind lotus seed is? And Suwen also showed worry. She was more afraid that Su Xing was meticulously hiding the matter of the withering meditative mind lotus seed, not speaking of delayed timing. Wu Xinjie shook her head, resolutely saying, Young lord knows the severity of things. Little sister can relax on this point. Right now, what Xinjie is more worried about is little Huang's star beast that little sister Yuan spoke of. Looking from the current situation, the star beasts that Su Xing gave the beauties were all first-rate. Just this was enough for them, but if the leisure star also was to capture a top-notch star beast, that would be somewhat of a headache. According to Wu Xinjie's conjecture, Su Xing and Gongsun Huang going to Evil's Smiting Hall this time would certainly encounter the Clear Skies Storm Dragon. If they were to completely rely on only 2 people to capture star beasts such as the holy beast-like Storm Dragon, that would be extremely difficult. They would need to spend a very long time and patience to do so, yet the importance of time was not something Wu Xinjie needed to think about anymore. After capturing 5 star beasts, Su Xing had altogether used 20 days. This sort of speed across any and all of the Star Masters was amazingly rapid. Among these included 2 heavenly stars, but as far as Su Xing was concerned, this was still slow somewhat. Knowledge Star, can you say that for this time when Su Xing and Gongsun Huang went to Evil's Smiting Hall together, can he still make it in time to give this palace's star beast a chance? This palace certainly does not want to waste time. Chai Ling opened the golden thread feather fan, seemingly smiling yet not as she asked. The knowledge star resourceful star Wu Xinjie smiled. Chai Ling, if we truly cannot make it in time, then we will have to ask you to be more patient, but there is not enough time. There is no harm in Xinjie giving her turn to you. This palace has just heard the efficacious star mention the meditative mind lotus seed? How did this happen? Chai Ling curiously asked. Wu Xiao also showed a bewildered expression. Concerning Su Xing's encounter with Chao Gai and the matters of the trials of calamities, the 2 of them were unaware of this. Now, hearing this, they knew there was a great amount of inside information. It's Chao Gai. Shi Yuan puffed her cheeks as she unhappily spoke. What does this have anything to do with Chao Gai? And Su Wen thus briefly explained the matters. As expected, Maiden Mountain has become angry. Testing him with trial after trial is actually interesting. It seems your young master is a dangerous character. This palace must plan earlier to dispel the together to hell with him. Chao Ling ruthlessly said. That pair of charming and seductive eyes flashed with a peculiar light. When she said this, Wu Xinjie was a bit surprised, but to actually see the noble star Little Whirlwind still be able to be so calm was rather rare. Little sister Xiao, do you have any interest to join hands together with Ying Mei to ascend that Maiden Mountain in challenge? Wu Xinjie thoughtfully looked at the pensive harm star to the side, not forgetting to psychologically target her. This type of challenge is even more interesting than the star duels. The others agreed, and Lin Yingmei also flung an expectant expression at Wu Xiao. For now, do not mention this further. Your servant is willing to lend him a helping hand to take the star duels, but she will not sign a contract with him. Wu Xiao showed extreme determination. Wu Xinjie smirked, but young lord will not be so willing to allow Xiao suffer harm in the star duels. Wu Xiao was taken aback and said nothing more. Su Xing currently brought Gongsun Huang in the fire beacon chariot in search of the star beast's tracks. Due to being high in the sky, they also saw many of the other star masters. It was just that they did not have any time whatsoever, so Su Xing did not take note of them. Fire beacon chariot ascended above the white clouds, seeing a hanging sea of clouds, the sky a great expanse of pure white. Absolutely silent. Approximately half a day later, inside the sea of clouds, they finally discovered an azure storm dragon rolling. That azure dragon's whole body was of azure scales, with a young dragon's horns. Clear and penetrating, it had an immortal light that was immaculate. With just a look, it was completely incomparable to the star beasts Su Xing previously saw. Just this imposing aura made him feel that it was out of reach. It was precisely that clear sky storm dragon that was close to a holy beast. Using it as Gongsun Huang's star beast practically was perfect. Little Huang, that's it? Su Xing said. The clear skies dragon? Gongsun Huang was still somewhat hesitant. Su Xing at this time already immediately called forth flying swords. Su Xing shook his sleeve, and a dozen golden flying swords shot out. After a corkscrew, they became a large sword shadow that slashed at the Clear Skies dragon. As if it cut upon an iron bastion, the Clear Skies dragon's dragon scales were struck hard enough to give off sparks, yet nothing else happened. When the Clear Skies dragon saw that the Langya flying swords were launching an attack, an ominous glint flashed in its eyes. After a low roar, it opened its maw, and a dozen green light balls the size of heads were spat out in succession. The green light balls this Clear Skies dragon spat out became phantom storm dragons, pouncing at Su Xing. The sword shadows that the Langya formed continuously cut these light balls, twisting into a battle with those green lights. They bound Su Xing's flying swords, and the Clear Skies dragon at this time did not hesitate at all to open its mouth. There was a dragon cry and rushing wind and thunder. Green wave connected to green wave as they densely shot out, aggressively flocking in Su Xing's direction. Su Xing did not dare be complacent. He formed a hand seal, calling forth the 12 heaven tearings. When these heaven tearings appeared, they immediately transformed into a golden dragon specter, brandishing its fangs and claws, breathing in and out golden chi. This dragon's power was outstanding. The 12 heaven tearings briefly shook violently, and then they transformed into 12 golden dragons. After a glorious light shone, the 12 flying swords shot together into one, becoming a several zhang long golden sword. Su Xing gazed at this sword, a peculiar light flashing through his eyes. Then, without any hesitation, he opened his mouth. A mouthful of pure purple chi was spat out, imbued into the sword's wide blade. Suddenly, the massive sword let out a long ringing, shooting light in all direction. It transformed into a nearly more than 10 zhang golden waterfall, viciously attacking the green ripples, faintly emitting the sound of wind and thunder. The two colors of golden and green earthly light magnificently slammed into one another, scattering in all direction, sending out an explosive noise, extremely shocking to anyone who heard. Gong Sun Huang at this time also took out the Pinebrand ancient sword. She activated star magic. The green clouds filling the skies surged, wrapped around, seemingly like chains as they tightly bound the Clear Skies dragon. A screaming gale like a sword incessantly knocked against the Clear Skies dragon's body. The Clear Skies dragon struggled, calling forth white clouds. The sky was filled with color, wind and thunder booming, its power vast. Cloud wandering azure dragon turn. Gong Sun Huang suddenly called forth her yellow rank magic. The might of the gathering clouds was like an avalanche, rolling forth to flatten it. The Clear Skies dragon spared no effort to fight, spitting out a green light and white fog, but in the very end, how could it oppose Su Xing's immemorial sword chant and Gong Sun Huang? A moment later, the Clear Skies dragon's star magic could no longer persist. They heard the dragon scream, raising a squall that rolled Su Xing and Gong Sun Huang into nearly falling down. The Clear Skies dragon did not delay. It immediately set forth its slender body into riding the clouds to escape. How could Su Xing allow it to escape? He promptly gave chase. Sword light flashed across 100 li, yet the Clear Skies dragon's speed was extremely fast. The moment its body moved, it was several hundred li away. This chase fully used several days of Su Xing's time. During these days, every time he almost caught up to the Clear Skies storm dragon, this storm dragon immediately showed its strength and fought briefly. Besides wasting each other's strength, no one could take down the other. Su Xing did not say anything about this. The immemorial sword chant added to the 5 spirits Law Earth Scroll, Water Scroll and the Leisure Star number 1 in magic energy. The Clear Skies dragon staking all of its power and magic energy had no way out, but Su Xing's powers were a bit lacking. To think of relying on these to capture the Clear Skies dragon the same as dreaming. Both sides were waiting for the first to be unable to continue. This waiting fully used close to 10 days. Compared to the time of subduing any of the previous star beasts, this took much longer. Although the Leisure Star Gong Sun Huang's star beast was not strong, its speed was extremely quick, soaring through the clouds and mist, calling wind and summoning rain. To use up all 3 months of Evil Smiting Hall's time, they still would not necessarily be able to settle this. Su Xing was inwardly depressed. Although he still saw that Gong Sun Huang was silent as before, from time to time, her wrinkled brows revealed the mood of her heart. On this day, the clear skies dragon ran 1,000 li away and stopped, its mouth bursting with green void light. Its dragon claws tore out wind, rocking Su Xing's flying swords like they were leaves in a violent storm, shaking endlessly. Su Xing and the clear skies dragon again seemingly had that sort of habitual sequence with several hundred exchanges without showing differences in power. Along with the heaven-sealing stillness hand being broken, the clear skies dragon once again flew through the clouds. Su Xing was already numbly preparing to continue to chase it, when at this moment, Gong Sun Huang actually floated into the air, not moving. Su Xing froze, turning around. "Little Huang? What's wrong?" Gong Sun Huang shook her head. Her meaning was that she no longer wanted to pursue it. "Isn't that clear skies dragon the star beast you have to capture? Although this clear skies dragon flees rather quickly, there is a limit. To have chased it for so many days and giving up like this is too pitiful." Su Xing consoled her. "But your highness does not have much time." Gong Sun Huang also knew chasing further like this, besides wasting time, there was no alternative. Acting as the star general #1 in magic energy, her star beast was absolutely the top in the aspect of speed. The meditative mind lotus seed isn't a problem yet. Su Xing sensed that meditative mind lotus seed in his sea of consciousness had nevertheless already begun to wilt. "No more." Gong Sun Huang stowed her sword. Seeing Gong Sun Huang give up, Su Xing was somewhat embarrassed. Just as he thought of using some way to persuade Gong Sun Huang, he suddenly gasped. Originally, he did not know when, but they had already chased it to the ocean. Below was an ocean that stretched as far as the eye could see, blending together with the world. It was exceptionally clear, but this was not what made Su Xing feel shock. What made him feel surprise was that the sea, there was currently a man and woman currently in battle with a giant sea-stirring dragon. That sea-stirring dragon's whole body had no scales, grew 4 horns, and in the sea, it raised heaven-flooding waves, sea-overturning waters, incomparably tyrannical. He saw the hand of that luxuriously dressed woman held a white night dragon carving sword directing several bright lights at the mixed seas giant dragon. The other that came with her, the man dressed in black armor, called forth an awe-inspiring ancient demon sword. These demon swords' blackness was dense, an evil wind blowing. Upon the sea, they raised a black evil wind, and the several dozen demon swords endlessly twisted about a black plume, leaving that mixed seas giant storm dragon with no place to hide. The mixed seas giant dragon was not about to be undone as it spat out divine water, sprayed out white light. The seawater became arrows that attacked without discrimination, but it was obvious the mixed seas giant dragon's resistance was growing more and more feeble. Being captured was only a matter of time. In a star master capturing a star beast situation like this, Su Xing was not at all unfamiliar. If it was before and he had no time to waste, then he would have left, but at this very moment, upon seeing the two, Su Xing's eyes narrowed, and he immediately launched a chilly intent. That man and woman were not just anyone, but the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon and his star general, Longevity Star River Dragon Li Jun star position, Longevity Star name, Li Jun, 2, nickname, River Dragon, 3, true name, Li Xiangfei rank, 26th star weapon, White Knight Dragon Carving Sword / White Knight Dragon Carving Lance, 3 star, Star Beast. Realm, 10,000 Techniques 8th Stage Innate Skill, Mixed Seas 5 Elements, Water Yellow Rank Special Move, Iron Hooves Treading Mountains and Rivers Dark Rank Special Move, White Dragon in Dream, 5 Current Status, Contractor / Holy Lord of Draconic Demon, Little Huang, let's first rest in the meantime, how about it? Su Xing thoughtfully said. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was someone Su Xing genuinely felt was an enemy. Although he did not feel threatened, he could not be at ease without getting rid of this guy. In their 2 encounters with the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon, one was total defeat, and the other complete victory. They were considered even, and the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's conduct and style were particularly loathsome to Su Xing. In handling this sort of person, Su Xing always would not relent. The river dragon Li Jun also was an extremely powerful magic energy star general. In battling over water, she would not necessarily be inferior to Gong Sun Huang. This also gave Su Xing the thought of seeing who was stronger. Gong Sun Huang lowered her head to look and thus understood Su Xing's plan. The dragon in the clouds nodded. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was currently with Li Xiangfei capturing the Mixed Seas giant dragon. For the sake of capturing this dragon, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon and Li Xiangfei had chased it over the seas for a dozen days, spending countless amounts of energy today in order to finally find a sea chance to force the Mixed Seas giant dragon into the upside-down underworld fiend sword array. 6. Time was not lost to determination, and currently, the Mixed Seas giant dragon was already at the end of its rope, about to be captured. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon already considered seeing whether or not he could find a few out-of-luck Star Masters to feast on inside Evil Smiting Hall after capturing this Mixed Seas giant dragon. Suddenly at this moment, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon sensed danger. In the surroundings, the sea overflowing heaven-flooding stormy sea magic circle, 7, he had set suddenly broke. The droplets covering the skies shattered, and a heavy rain soared. Raising his head to look, a massive hand of purple chi spread open and grabbed at him. Beside this purple chi giant hand were several does purple lotus flowers. How could the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon dare come into contact? He dodged back and forth, releasing a swathe of black fire that slammed into the purple lotus flowers. In a split second, purple lightning bearing its fangs and claws burst out from inside the black flames. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was shocked. This purple thunder was too familiar. Again at this time, 2 waterfalls poured down from the sky, one green and one gold. They crisscrossed, the green jadeite glistening, as if a Bodhi tree had bloomed. There was clear light, and the golden ones let out a dragon cry. With a golden dragon faintly visible, its claws sharp, its mouth spat cold light. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon sneered. The 9 Phantasms 10 Banes capital demon sword transformed into a black python, opening wide its bloody maw, spitting out a poison light, biting at the green and gold flying swords. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's 9 Phantasms 10 Banes capital demon sword was also an ancient demon sword. By the sword master's own demon determination, flying sword abilities in addition to the divine intent devouring propulsion, normal flying swords basically could not approach him. Its devouring essence blood could even swallow the sun and moon. Now, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon had already practiced the upside-down underworld fiend sword array. His flying sword abilities were far better than they were originally. Like his opponent's flying swords, they appeared out of the ordinary, but the Holy Lord of Draconic Demons still had much faith he could defeat his opponent's life-cast flying swords. By the time the life-cast flying swords were damaged, at that time, the star cultivator connected to them would also necessarily suffer harm. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon already was impatient thinking of seeing his opponent's despairing face. Unexpectedly, this person wanted to take advantage of him, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon. Truly, this person acted recklessly. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's thoughts rapidly turned, and he inwardly operated his powers. The 9 Phantasms 10 Banes capital demon sword shadows were layer upon layer. Just when the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was wholeheartedly looking forward to being able to devour the opponent's flying swords, suddenly, he saw those green swords release green light. Bright like light, the moment this clear light flashed, countless arcs of green lightning surrounded the demon swords. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon gasped, and his eyes immediately widened. He saw that his unparalleled ancient demon sword unexpectedly forced into weakness by the green light. The sword lights dimmed incessantly, and the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon only felt his heart hurt. He was suddenly incomparably shaken. Evil suppressing clear light. A flying sword formed from the 10,000-year evil suppressing gem bamboo. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon howled. Hastily he formed hand seals. The 9 Phantasms 10 Banes capital demon sword with its might being restrained by the clear light suddenly disappeared, having returned to his body. The flying swords he raised with so much difficulty, using the flesh and panicked souls of cultivators as feed unexpectedly were instantly disastrously damaged. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon had the thought to skin his opponent alive. We meet again, Holy Lord of Draconic Demon. The newcomer descended from the sky, light as a feather. In midair, descended a youth who harbored evil intentions. Upon this youth's shoulders sat an out-of-the-ordinary little girl. Seeing him, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's pupils contracted, and his face lost its color. Who else could the newcomer be? It was Su Xing. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.